Hey, everybody. I don't know if I have my microphone pulled over here far enough, but hey, Darren. Hey, TJ.
TJ and the Bear.
Hey, 71. Hey, Texas. Um, let's see. TJ says, "Hi, kids," and my best Dexter's mom from Dexter's Lab voice. I'm imagining that in my head, actually, TJ. I loved Dexter's Laboratory. I love that cartoon. Do y'all remember the Old Man Dexter episode? That was my favorite one.
That's my favorite.
Well, actually, I didn't get a new microphone, but I got a new microphone cover
What? You spent money
a while back. But
to match your hat?
I'm going with the pink motif, Steve. Steve hadn't even noticed this thing's been back here for a while, and I guess he didn't notice that the cover on my microphone had changed colors. So, um, hey, John, you say I'm driving and listening to you and Steve on the way home from Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah. I-65, I get a decent signal. Yeah, I know there are some places, like there's some places when we go back to, like we're gonna go to my parents' house for Thanksgiving next week.
Thanksgiving.
And there's a road in Indiana, 37, which is kind of a main road, but you lose signal completely when you get at a certain spot on 37. Yeah, Dee Dee, get out of my laboratory. I can't do the accent, but yeah. TJ, you say you already said hi on Steve's stream. Ha ha. So you're going to do something different on here. So, John, now that I know that you're in here, Steve said you had a couple of questions about some movies. What in the heck? Oh,
It's a skull.
that's nice, dear. Okay. But anyway, you can ask those questions at any time. I think Steve said something about the Lost Boys and Girls Night Out. I don't know if there was anything else that you had asked about or not. But
I may
just
be wrong. It may be somebody else.
well, he said he thought it was you, John. So,
I'm not,
but anyway, if
that's not
if it was you, John, you ask away at any time. I'll be checking this chat periodically.
Better.
Gosh, Steve's distracting the hell out of me. Okay, so okay, he's leaving now. Well, he's going out of here. Oh, John, you say, "Oh no, it wasn't me. Maybe another John. It might be that John Smith guy or
Actually, I'm sorry, I don't know.
that I think he spells his name Jon. So okay, so if he comes, whoever it was that asked about that, if you're in here, just put your questions in the chat, and I'll try to answer them for you.
I think it was X-Ray Punch, actually.
Oh, now Steve says it's X-Ray Punch. And I hadn't seen X-Ray in the chat yet, but it's like I don't know how you get John out of X-Ray, but whatever. John, you say I did my girls' night out that piece of work. It was okay, I guess. Oh, you can call it a piece of shit, John. I don't think Steve much cares for it either, and there's probably some other people that don't care for it. I mean, I think it's one of those that either you like it or you don't. It's cool with me. TJ, you said, John, you don't like killer teddy bears? LOL. um yeah, some people thought that was kind of hokey that the killer took the bear mascot costume, and I don't know, I thought it was kind of unique. But anyway, tonight we're going to do a watch along for Offerings, which I believe this was like 1989, 88, 89, somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure it came out in 89. Um, you know, way past like the golden age of slashers, really. But I have always enjoyed it. I think it's a cool little, slasher movie. It does copy quite a bit from Halloween, even down to the guy that did the music, trying to sound like Carpenter. He doesn't do a very good job, but I think you guys will notice several similarities between this film and John Carpenter's Halloween, from 78. So, there's 10, 11 years between both of those movies. So, um, 71, you say, I was just watching a 5th anniversary of Charles Manson's death live stream from Charles Manson's Rock. Ooh. John, you say Arrow went hog wild on those random slashers last year, like that and Trapped Alive. Some are good. I did like Deadly Manor. Now, see, I didn't hate Deadly Manor, John, but I would much rather watch Girls' Night Out, uh, you know, quite a bit more frequently than Deadly Manor. Deadly Manor to me was just okay. You say it has a good vibe and location. TJ, you say, I ain't never heard of this one. Skimmed it on YouTube earlier today. I'm wondering, TJ, what you thought of it when you watched it. Because, again, Offerings is not a movie that's for everybody or to everybody's liking, I should say. But I enjoy it for what it is. I mean, I'm very aware that it does copy quite a bit from Halloween. And again, as we watch this, you guys will, especially those of you that haven't seen it, you're going to say, oh, but if you've seen 1978's Halloween, you're going to say, wait a minute. This movie, I believe, was filmed in Oklahoma. And I believe the guy that Tim Boggs, who directed Blood Lake, which was also it was a shot on video film. Offerings was not a shot on video film. But Blood Lake was, and Tim Boggs actually helped out on Offerings. He was like on the crew or something. And the guy that did the music for Offerings also did the music for Blood Lake. So a lot of these same crew people and stuff. Christopher Reynolds, the director of Offerings, was good friends with Tim Boggs. So I guess they kind of shared duties maybe on each other's films. I don't know if Christopher Reynolds did anything specifically on Blood Lake, but I do know that Tim Boggs did help out on Offerings. There was a time period that there were several movies that were made in Oklahoma. I believe Terror at Tenkiller was made in Oklahoma. Blood Lake was made in Oklahoma. And also the movie we're going to do the watch along for tonight, Offerings, was made in Oklahoma as well. TJ, you said I made 6 jokes and watching a few seconds of it. LOL. Is that a record, TJ? Hey, Darren, you say it's been a while since I saw this. Remember it being all right, though. You say I didn't know about the Blood Lake connection. Cool. Yeah, I didn't know about the Blood Lake connection for a while either. And then I just, heard of it and maybe, or made that connection in the last few months. Well, looky here, it's Uncle Bill. He says, Daner, Daner, Daner. Yes, I am here. So I guess what I need to ask here is, first, does anybody want to come on the stream with me to help me out with this live stream? If not, it's cool. I will I know John can't because he's driving right now, but if there's anybody else that is able to come on live and wants to, again, you don't have to be on video. You can do audio only if you would like. Like I said, though, if nobody wants to, it is perfectly fine. I will I will guide us through the craziness that is offerings from 1989. The other thing I want to make sure of is that everybody that is going to be watching the movie, which again, this probably isn't going to be John because he's driving right now, um, has either a copy of it to watch. I'm pretty sure Darren told me that he had the Blu-ray of it, so he should be able to get synced up pretty well with the link from YouTube I have. But is there anybody that needs that link for YouTube for offerings? Because I put it at the beginning of the chat, but if you need me to repost it, please let me know, and I will be sure to do that. Um, yeah, he probably is. Killing time before the dead pitch stream. Um, which, you know, uh, if they are doing a stream tonight, if you guys are doing a stream tonight, Uncle Bill, I if I'm not done with this in time and you guys want to go over to the dead pitch stream, I do not care. It will not hurt my feelings. Um, I hope a few of you can stick around to the end, but if you can't, you can't. I'll finish it up by myself so that we'll have the full watch along on here. John, you say, I feel like Arrow gets a lot of extra prints with their purchases. Yeah, like Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Here, take the rights to Doom Asylum to you. It's probably, they like get a discount movie or something as a bonus. Um, 71, you said 1989. That was the year I graduated. I don't recall this movie. Yeah, this was a movie I think that flew under a lot of people's radars. And I think part of that was the fact that this was not during the golden age of slasher. So even if you were a big slasher fan, um, you might have missed this one. I think that I ended up renting it. And the cover art for the VHS, I think, is what got me to rent it because you can't always go. You can't judge a book by its cover. You've heard that saying before. So you can't necessarily judge a movie by its cover either. But I used to rent movies because they had a cool cover, and I would flip them over and read on the back the plot, and would make a determination based on those two things whether I wanted to rent them, because that was basically all you had unless you saw a trailer somewhere for some of these. Sometimes I would see a trailer for a movie on another movie that I'd rented. I'm like, ooh, I want to see that. I want to see that one. But I'm pretty sure that offerings, I just saw that cover art, which I used for the promotion for the stream.
Did you hear about Happy Hell Night coming to 4K?
No, but I'll get it. I will. Steve tells me these things, and then he's like, he can't believe that I'm going to get them. It's like, these are my favorite movies. But anyway, the cover art was what I used as the promotion for this watch along, and it has the guy holding the gift, and it's bleeding and or got blood coming out of it. It says, "Remember him before he dismembers you." And Steve, it took him a while. We did a commentary for this movie a while back, and it took him a little bit before he figured out what the title offerings actually meant. And I'm going to leave that up to you guys to figure out, especially for those of you that have never seen it before. Some of you, if you've seen it, then you probably already get that. But let's see. TJ, you say, I'll be in and out, but damn, would I love to make fun of this live. LOL. Maybe I'll do it on my own. There you go. Or maybe I might wait a while, TJ, and do another watch along for it, and maybe you'll be more in a position to be live on the stream. 71, you say, I will be here until the end. Texas, you say, I think that was the year Blissful graduated also. I graduated in 83. Boy, guys, I didn't graduate till 94, so that was a little bit later than 71 and Blissful. And 71, you say, well, oh, my brother graduated in 84. Darren, you say, you got to be hardcore to even know about offerings. It got lost in the shuffle, I think. I think so too, Darren. And people have told me before that I do some deep dives, like when I'm talking about different movies. I know Uncle Bill told me, boy, like, you're taking a deep dive there, Dana. Certain movies that I talk about or certain movies I bring up for certain years. TJ, you say, I'm pretty sure DP aren't streaming tonight, but tune in on the 22nd and 24th for their Black Friday stream. I get no payment for this plug, LOL. Well, you should, TJ. You should tell them. Red, you say, ever had sharp joint pain in your wrist and knuckles out of nowhere? Actually, I have had it in my wrist, Red, and I always think it's carpal tunnel starting to rear its ugly head because I use the computers and use a keyboard and stuff so much. TJ, you say, Darren, I know burnt offerings, LOL. See, that's funny because when Steve and I did the commentary for offerings a while back, Steve at first was like, what's this movie again? And I said, The Offerings. It's from 1989. And he's like, oh, I was thinking like burnt offerings. John, you say, absolutely, TJ. We can buy some bad movies together. They're going to get my money. TJ, you say, yeah, John, watching them suckers me into buying stuff, huh? Uncle Bill, you said offerings is not it there, but great in a way. Sorry, out there. Oh, okay. I got you. You say offerings is out there, but in a great way. Gotcha. Hey, John Smith. You weren't in Steve's stream earlier, were you? Because at first he thought it was like Movie Junkie John was asking about some movies, and then he said it might be X-Ray, but I was just making sure it wasn't you that was asking about a couple of movies in his stream. Okay, so I'm guessing nobody. Uncle Bill, are you interested in coming in live on the stream with me? I'm asking you once again, dude. You say Dana doesn't ever ask me to be on there, and I'm like, yeah, but you were gone for a week on vacation, so I didn't get to ask you. But I'm asking you now if you want to come live on the stream with me for offerings. And if you don't, that's okay. I got I got a link for it, Uncle Bill. I can put it. Hold on a sec. I'll put it in the chat. I mean, you still don't have to come on, but that'll at least give you something that you can watch it from, if you want to. But I'm not saying you have to come on live, but if you want to and you want to watch from the stream, because that's what or this link, that's what I'm using, so we can get synced up. Tell you well. Okay, I gotta give you 10 minutes, so I gotta come up with something to like entertain people for 10 minutes. Alrighty. So evidently Uncle Bill's gonna be live on this one with me, guys. So you get, you don't just get to hear my stupid ass voice for an hour and a half or whatever. So if anybody else at any point in time is interested in coming on, um, I I can put the link, the invite link. Okay, I think I will for Uncle Bill too. Yeah, TJ, it is a banner night. I'm gonna put the link for to go live on StreamYard with me. I don't know if Uncle Bill can still hear me or he stepped away, but Uncle Bill, if you can hear me, I'll put that link to come live in the chat. I've been doing that instead of like separately sending them to everybody in case, we have several people that want to come on here. Um, then we can do that. John, you're asking what have I bought lately? Anything new? Well, you know, when you're basically broke and you're waiting to start a new job, it's not very conducive. And this isn't your fault, John, for asking. It's not very conducive to being able to buy anything. Um, but I do have some things that are on pre-order, and one's supposed to come in soon. It's Pennywise, like the story behind the It miniseries. And I'm really looking forward to that. That's coming from Amazon like the 25th or whatever, 25th, 26th. Um, I'm trying to think. I think that's basically it because I've been trying to really save money, but these are pre-orders that I did a while back and they're just now getting released. I'm supposed to be getting Black Christmas uh December 6th. So I'm getting Black Christmas on 4K and I'm really excited about that because it's coming in plenty of time for me to watch it before Christmas. Hey, Davey. John, you said I got the Ring soundtrack on Waxwork. The movie is okay, but that score I love. Gotcha. I didn't even know they had that at Waxwork. TJ, you say I want to get the next two Argentos coming, Milan and Four Flies on Gray Velvet, but I'm flip flopping. Yeah, I mean I've been doing a lot of flip flopping lately, but I think, and I hope Steve doesn't hear this, but I'm hoping anyway that when I get a few paychecks under my belt at this new job that I can actually get me a few things. But Steve said stuff about getting me, a couple of things for Christmas. So, I got to be careful what I do get. He said something about getting me that Back to the Future set on 4K, which I've been wanting and I held off on it. We saw it at oh shoot. Um, where did we see it? Half Price Books, I think. And they wanted more than Steve thought that I should give for it for a used copy because at that time he said, well, they got it brand new on Amazon for like 30 something dollars, Dana. And then by the time I got the money and got ready to get it, they were sold out of them. And Steve said, well, maybe I'll just get it for you for Christmas. Um, Johnny said, yeah, Flies looks good. Yeah. TJ, I know you're kidding there. You say ask for an advance, haha. One, I don't think they would give it. Two, I don't think that's acceptable with this company. Uh, Darren, you say TJ get Four Flies. Read a bit more into Milan as it's only a drama. Um, John, I'm not sure. I think this is just the same cut. It's supposed to be an HD version. So I'm assuming whatever cut was used for the Blu-ray, which appears to be the same cut that I've always watched. So um I guess I really wasn't aware that there were different cuts of this movie. I think the only versions I've seen, I mean, that's what I've seen. I haven't seen anything different. So, other than it being HD, I don't know of any difference with any other versions. Um, 71, you said that's cool. TJ, you said, yeah, Darren, I knew Milan wasn't hard, but I'm a completist, so LOL. Um, Johnny said, oh, yeah, fuck half price books. Those Kirk's got a store here in Nashville, and they want so much for VHS. Yeah, I'll get records from them every once in a while, and, um, you know, books maybe occasionally. But I don't know that I've gotten very many, if any, movies from them. TJ, you say it's 90 minutes, John, if that helps. That might help, TJ. Um, are you talking about offerings, Davey? Is it worth getting on Blu-ray? In my eyes, yes. I've actually got two two Blu-rays of it. Believe it or not, I have I believe the Code Red one and the '88 Films one. I think I've got both, but really, I think the '88 Films version of it might look a tiny bit better. But other than that, there's not much difference between the two. Um, if you like low budget slasher films made in the late '80s, I would say yeah. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, TJ, but you said the poster makes it look like a Christmas movie. Yeah, Darren, you say, yeah, the cover to this could be the Don't Open Till Christmas cover. Um, John, you say, I think they're also Books a Million and Second Charles, same company, I think. I didn't realize that. Davey, you say, oh, okay. Uh, okay. Hold on here, Uncle Bill. Let me, so probably this will be easier, Uncle Bill. I'm just going to post the link to get on the stream in the chat. And since you don't have Facebook anymore, if you still had Facebook, I would send it to you on Facebook, but whatever. Davey, you say, I like cheesy movies, especially from the 60s to the 80s. Well, then you would probably like it, Davey. But I tell you what, don't go out and buy it now. Wait till if you want to watch it on this stream, and then you could determine whether you want to spend that hard-earned money on the Blu-ray. That's what I would suggest, anyway. So let's see, Uncle Bill. I put the StreamYard link in the chat. There's Uncle Bill down there. There he is. Okay, so I see his face down there. So I'm gonna add him real quick here. Howdy, Uncle Bill.
What you doing, Diner?
I'm getting ready to do this watch along for this movie.
Listen, I don't want to hear none of you bullshit about not buying that Four Flies on Gravy because you know that both y'all are going to buy that.
I'm not gonna buy it right away.
Yes, you are. Yes, you're going to.
No. I like that movie. I know some people claim it's boring. I think Master Chaos was talking about how boring it was. Steve was watching something earlier today.
Well, it's like this to me, though. All of it is worth it for the ending. Like, I think that that's one of my favorite Argento endings, so I think it's worth it just for that, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, Master Chaos was saying that the lead guy, I think the guy that's in the rock band,
Yeah.
that he's just dull, and basically all the actors act like they took Xanax, and
Well,
so
I mean, I don't know if he knows or not, but like acting has never been the strong point of the Argento movie series. Like, so I wasn't really like looking for that.
right, exactly.
All right,
Uh,
hold on. I'm gonna get it on here real quick on the YouTubes.
okay. I can't believe you don't have this on Blu-ray. What's wrong with you?
I don't. I probably have not seen this movie in like 15 years, so this is gonna be
Yeah,
an experience in terror.
yeah, tear that you're watching it.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so when are you gonna join me on my dinner with the Palma streams?
You know what's weird though? I was thinking about that. I don't know that many De Palma movies. Like I've never. He's just one guy that I've never really got into his films. Like, I mean, I know like some of the bigger ones, but I don't know. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Dress to Kill.
Oh my gosh!
Maybe like half of it or something, but never like all the way through. I don't think.
Oh wow. Hmm. Well, I've been able to find a lot of them, like either on YouTube or Tubi, all except for Phantom of the Paradise. I had to go elsewhere to get that one, and I thought Steve had Phantom of the Paradise. I could have sworn he had that one. And he's like, I don't have it, Dana.
That's a classic. That is a classic in a lot of bad ways. Yeah.
I already talked about that one. I that one and shoot, what did I talk about with Phantom of the Paradise? Oh my gosh, losing my freaking mind. Oh, somebody will probably remind me. But I just did Carrie an Obsession, and TJ gave me the idea to actually have dinner. So I'm not having a dinner. I'm having like a snack thing. So the last one, since Carrie takes place, a lot of the action takes place at a prom. I said, everybody that wants to participate, get you a single serving slice of cake and get you some Hawaiian punch. And we'll have to,
Spike the punch with some
well,
vodka.
I
Yeah.
didn't spike mine. I just had the original like Hawaiian punch.
You know that shit was still going on when I went to prom. By the way, like they spiked the punch at my prom. I still remember that. There's like people that brought in flasks and then they like
Well,
snuck them in.
I don't remember anybody spiking the punch at my prom. I didn't go to my senior year. Some people went junior and senior year, but there was a lot of, you know, hanky panky going on. Like
Oh
uh,
yeah,
after prom, they let us go to the Y
yeah.
after prom, and we had our after prom party, and like several people disappeared, like inside the Y. It was like, where's so and so at? I saw him about an hour ago.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you something. My story about the after party at the prom was
Oh,
that we all rented a hotel, right? And everybody was drinking and just doing whatever and partying and whatnot. And we got the cops called on us for like a noise complaint. The
oh,
cops show up. That whole room is filled with like underage people drinking. Like it's everybody in
my
there.
gosh.
And like one person knew the cop. Like I guess his family was like friends with him or whatever. And he was able to talk him out of like doing anything. And he just basically like, just like keep it down and yada yada yada. And so nothing happened. But I'll always remember that.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, that has nothing to do with offerings, but
No,
but
no, but I was talking about Carrie and prom stuff. And yeah, like, I don't know. I went to prom and I went stag. I didn't go with anybody. It was just me and a bunch of friends, and only one of us had a date, and she's the one that disappeared with her date when we got to the after prom. So
that's what happened. Yeah.
yeah. Several people got hotel rooms too, but we didn't. We just went to after prom, and then we had breakfast at Shoney's. I think
I'm
the next morning.
I'm trying to think of where we went because that was a big deal too about like where you went to eat or whatever like after prom or before prom. I can't remember which, but I
Gosh,
don't remember now.
we ended up going to some freaking fast food place. I don't know whose idea that was. We should have went to a nice sit down restaurant. Is what we should have done. But
Well, think about it like this, Dan. How many ever years later, and we can't remember any of the places we went, so it doesn't really matter.
well, I mean, that's what I say now. I thought I had to go to prom. I thought years later I would feel like something was missing from my life or something if I didn't go to
No,
prom.
I don't think I would
And
have
I
missed
don't
anything.
care. I don't give a shit now about it. Like you said, we can't even remember the stuff, so it wasn't
No.
memorable.
I think of the people that were at that prom, I probably still talk to two of them. Like, of like everybody there.
I probably don't talk to any of those people on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about spiking the punch at prom. They didn't do that, but they got a bunch of kegs at my class reunion, my 20th. Oh my gosh, I'm so old. My 20th class reunion. Steve went with me to that. That was the only class reunion I ever went to. And I said, I'm married now. I'm going to go and say, at least I can say I'm married. I'm not there sitting like a bump on a log over in the corner somewhere. I'm alone. But hey, Steve got out there and danced with me and stuff a little bit. And I danced at his two high school reunions I went with him. But yeah, people started bringing kegs of beer and like that that class reunion I went to.
Yeah.
That was about the time me and Steve left, though. Everybody was going outside. I was like, "Yeah, we got a keg," because they weren't allowed to bring the alcohol in the place where we were having our reunion. So everybody was going out there with cups to get beer.
That's what I'm saying. It's like wanting to relive that period in your life. I don't want to relive any of that. I'm good. Like, I
No,
don't
I
need
don't
to.
need. I don't need to relive that ever again.
No, I'm fine with it.
Once was fine. Once was enough. So what you got in the black cup? Speaking of
Oh,
drink.
it's my new. It's festive though. It's a green. It's like a dark green. It's just
Oh,
water.
oh,
Sadly
gotcha.
enough.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's where
got
I'm at.
mine. I got Diet Mountain Dew, but I got my Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I got this right before Halloween. They probably still got some at Amazon. They're kind of pricey though.
How
A
much
little
would
on
how much would something like that go for?
I don't want Steve to hear, but
It's Steve asleep.
no, I think he's back
Oh, he's
there
still.
watching. So
All
I
right.
think it was like $29 or something like that.
That's not that bad. I mean, good lord.
But he would think it is.
Yeah, I can see that.
So anyway, um, well, let's see. Sisters was the one I forgot.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, that was. How could I forget that? See, my brain's going.
Margot Kidder is great in that movie too. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh,
that's yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. I forgot how good that movie was until I went back and I rewatched it. And I was like, this is and I had never seen Obsession.
I don't
And
think I've ever seen that either.
oh man, you need to see that. It's on Tubi if you got access to
Oh, I've
Tubi.
got Tubi. Oh yeah.
That's what I watched it on. But yeah, that one's really good. Um, but let's see. John's saying he'll definitely join for Scarface and Body Double. Okay, so I'll get you hooked up for that, John. And Darren's going to help me out with Dress to Kill and Blowout.
Blowout is a good one. I remember that one.
But that doesn't mean that we can't have more than just one person on here with me. If more people want to come and talk about them, so anyway, I guess we'll get this started before it gets even later and
I'm
everybody's
ready.
asleep. So, um,
You do the countdown, Dan, whenever you're ready.
I've got mine. It's just showing the Christopher Reynolds
Yeah,
present.
that's where I'm at.
Okay, so I want to check and make sure everybody's queued up. So is everybody queued up? If I don't hear anything from people in like a minute or so, we'll go ahead and do the countdown.
So
TJ saying I need that uh, ginkgo biloba stuff. I need something. Okay, so I think TJ is queued up. 71 says she's on it. Texas is good. Okay. Darren, are you all queued up? Because I know you had the Blu-ray that you were going to use. Darren's on the menu. Okay. So, Darren, if you think you can get it synced up, okay, we'll go ahead and do the countdown. And so let's do three, two, one. So, three, two, one, press play.
Lord, I know I'm going to have to turn this down now.
I was going to say if you need the sound on, that's fine. I usually just mute mine.
Oh, wow, this has got friggin' subtitles, so that'll work.
Yeah, I
Okay.
wonder if they're the crazy subtitles. Though some of these subtitles on YouTube are crazy.
So, G. Michael Smith is Sheriff Chisholm. Let's not forget that. I don't know. Were these people ever in anything else that you know of, Dana?
I don't believe so. Well, um, I think Tobe or Toby Sexton. I think he's been in other stuff.
I'd love
Uh,
to have a name Doobie Potter.
yeah, Steve always. And Chase Hampton. I believe Chase Hampton. He plays a little boy on here, and I think he grew up and like did a bunch of stuff behind the scenes on movies. He might have been a producer or something.
You're gonna have to, yeah, you're gonna have to do the trivia on this one because, like I said, it's been forever since I've seen this movie.
Steve says I know way too
It's
much
just a
about
rip
these.
off of Halloween.
Yes, Steve, I already told him that.
Is it set? Yeah, it is. It is. I forgot there for a second. Brian Stevens. Now, where have I heard that name?
I don't know. That name's not familiar to me, but as I said earlier, this movie was filmed in Oklahoma, and the guy that directed Blood Lake, which was also filmed in Oklahoma, is good friends with the director of this one, Christopher Reynolds. So he helped like behind the scenes with this movie.
You got a nice fireplace here. This is a good mood. This is like what you put on at Christmas time when your family's in.
Yeah, you're going to watch Auburn. Now, this scared Steve when we did the commentary of it.
That's like, doesn't scare me because that's like about half the people around here. It's exactly the same. That woman lives next door to me.
Ooh, that's creepy. I hope she ain't got a kid like this lady does.
And that was back when people just smoked all the time, just around anybody,
Oh, yeah.
in
They
any
didn't care.
situation.
All the stuff about secondhand smoke hadn't come out in full force yet.
Yeah, that's how you flavor breakfast.
It's how you flavor the eggs.
And you did. See?
Well, I'll tell you one of my great shames, speaking of cigarette ashes. My mom told me when I was really, really little, like toddler little, I got in her and dad's ashtrays and was eating cigarette ashes.
Oh, God, Dana, what the hell?
I don't know why. I said, that's one of my great shames, Mom. She said she was kind of horrified when she, come in the room there. I was sitting there eating cigarette ashes. But, in a way, that's not quite as bad as what happened to my brother. He loved milk when he was a kid, when he was
Mhm.
real little. And my mom, she always tried to keep us safe and stuff. But this is just one of those freak things that happened. She had poured a cup of bleach to put in the laundry,
Oh, God.
and she had it set. She thought she had it setting far enough back on the washer that he couldn't reach because he was little. So he thought it was milk because it was white.
Yeah.
And he somehow managed to pull it where it spilled over on his face. And he
Jeez.
wasn't even scared, but mom come around the corner about that time and was just terrified that he might blind himself or poison himself or something. So she picks him up real quickly, and that scared him, and he starts screaming and crying. And she puts him in the bathtub and starts rinsing his face off and stuff. But yeah, that was pretty scary.
Damn. This woman is amazing.
TJ says, "Is that their lickable wallpaper?"
Yeah, it's like in Willy Wonka.
It's scratch and sniff wallpaper. Now, when Steve and I did the commentary for this, Steve like didn't realize that lady was this little boy's mom.
Well, I can understand that because she's like
She looked
60
like a
some years old.
grandma,
Yeah.
you know. And Steve was like, "If I had a grandma like that," and I said, "That's not his grandma." I said, "That's his mom." He said, "That's his fucking mom." It's like, yeah. Oh yeah, right.
Kids playing checkers. Well, you don't see this no more.
Nope. Kids don't know how to have fun outside anymore.
Shit, dang. They don't even go outside anymore anyway.
No, there's too much stuff on the inside, too much digital, you know. We didn't have all this stuff when we were growing up.
We went to school uphill both ways.
We're gonna be like our parents and our grandparents are gonna be like,
But this shit right here really did exist. Like these hordes of kids on bikes. That's all that people did back
oh
then.
yes.
At
Yeah.
this time period, especially. This was when this movie was made when I was 9 years old. So it's pretty much exactly the same group of like, you know what I mean? Like same age as these kids.
Of course, I lived out in the boonies, but we still, you know, would ride bikes and stuff like that. And kids would move in out in the country and they'd live out there for a while and they would come and hang out there with me and my brother and
Oh, just being like douchebags. I don't think kids were this like aggressively douchey back then.
you know, I don't want to think that they were like that, but I mean, I remember they didn't really bully like they bully now. When I was a kid, but I had an overbite when I was a kid, and I was also really super quiet and shy. You would never believe that now, as much as I talk. But so kids used to pick on me, and they especially would pick on me on the school bus. And so, I mean, I remember that. You know, I remember 'em being pretty vicious about, you know, calling me a buck-toothed rabbit and
Jesus.
you know, mom would try to keep me and my brother from getting ear infections in bad weather. So she'd make us wear sock caps with the little balls on them and stuff.
What's a sock cap, then? I'm not familiar with that.
Well, that's what we called them. But, you know, the little woolly hats with the little balls on them. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we called those sock caps back home.
Sock cap, okay.
But so anyway, mom would have me and my brother wear those, and they used to pick on us because we wore those. My brother would cry and carry on with mom all the time. Oh, I don't want to wear, it," you know, and make us wear heavy coats, and other kids would go, you know, with short sleeves and stuff like that. And here we'd be dressed like the kids on a Christmas Story or something, you know, because she was just scared we were going to get sick. But they made fun of us unmercifully. You know, they would pull our hats off, and one kid pulled my brother's hat off and pulled the ball off of it, and you know, they were just mean.
So you got your classic setup here though, Dana. Like something
Yes.
horrible happens in the past, and then you fast forward 10 years.
Yeah, this is pretty standard slasher movie.
Of course, but there's the mental hospital. Yep.
Slasher 101, Dana.
Yes.
That's right.
Steve, are you wanting to be on this watch along? Okay.
Steve, buddy, get your ass in here, Steve.
Did you hear that?
I heard it, but not tonight.
So this guy here, the doctor, is Christopher Reynolds. That's the director of this masterpiece.
Who did the makeup effects, Danny? Because this is outstanding. This puts Savini to
Well,
shame.
I can't really remember who did the special makeup effects. Sorry about that.
I'm gonna look it up just to. I'll bet it was Rob Bottin. Who gonna bet?
Rob 14. 15.
I'm kind of curious now. Yeah, Darren, that is a prom night opening with the kid falling
Yeah.
in the well.
There was a lot of those movies at that time period that did this kind of thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
You think about Slaughter High did it.
Yep.
A lot of them.
Well, see, that was the formula.
Actually, Valentine did it like later on.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Yeah.
same kind of
A little bit,
shit.
quite a bit later, but yeah, it
Yeah.
followed that same formula.
If I never mentioned this, I really hate the way IMDb's set up now.
Yeah, it's kind of weird now, ain't it?
Here we go. Do-do-do-do-do. This was done by. This can't be real. Listen, Dave, the makeup effects in this were done by Frida Valenzuela.
Frito Lay.
Okay. I would have never
So,
thought of that.
listen, you know you got quality when it's Frida Valenzuela that's doing the makeup.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
also the housemaid.
Yeah, sounds like that.
Oh, here is the little guy in the mental hospital that Steve calls him Pepe Lewis.
This guy.
Yeah,
He looks like a Mexican Danny DeVito.
he does. I'm sorry, guys. We're not PC on these watch-alongs at all. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. He looks like a Latin American Danny DeVito.
yeah, I don't think anybody that's in these watch-alongs is really.
Didn't they basically do this exact thing in the Burning? I mean,
Um,
in terms of like he's not burned per se, but it's like
no, but I want to know what happened to his face. That's what
me
I asked.
too.
I mean, how does falling in a well do that shit to your face?
Maybe he slid down the side of the stone on the way down.
Steve said something like maybe he threw up on himself and the stomach acid did that to his face.
That's what it was. Like he's a freaking alien.
And another question I asked last time that Steve and I did a thing for this, why did they not have this guy strapped down? He's a psychotic patient.
That's got to be like some of the shittiest makeup for like whatever that's supposed to be.
So this is definitely like Halloween type
Yeah.
stuff here.
I swear to God, though, if any of those Halloween movies use that trope
Hmm.
where he stabs somebody against the wall, then leaves him there, and then tilts his head, if they do that one more time in these Halloween movies, I'm going to explode.
I don't want to ever see another Halloween movie of any kind. I'm done with Halloween movies. All
Yeah,
the good ones have been done, so just stop.
me too. And like, I mean, that was a pretty cool scene. I got to give him credit. Like the needle in the head was good, but the pulling back that kind of added a whole other layer
Mm.
to it.
And then he's just casually, I'm just going for a walk
Yeah,
now.
so this scarred up guy is just walking around.
And then this guy was supposed to come in there a long time ago and be with her. Now he's too late. And then he's still not like, he's not getting into no hurry. And they've already
No,
sounded the alarms and everything. Okay, here's a question I have for everybody. It doesn't, it almost looks like this is an electric fence when he puts his hands on it. But like he puts his hands on it and it's gonna spark for a little bit. Here, I'll let everybody see that. but then it's gonna stop, and he's just gonna climb the fence. Now, I've never seen an electrified fence
Yeah,
that'll do that.
that's what happens, Dana. Like he grounded out the electricity with his hands.
Okay.
That's how electricity works. You didn't know that, and then it just
No,
stops. Uh,
no. I was always told to stay away from electrified fences.
no, all you gotta do is grab hold of them. Just hold on for a minute.
And this guy here, the professor at this college, you're going to find out that he had something to do with the original case of this John Radley, the guy that just escaped from the mental hospital. And this guy, I'm thinking, is supposed to be like the Donald Pleasance character. He's kind of like the Dr. Loomis.
Yeah,
Only he's not as good as Donald Pleasance, because he's not going around like, I know this evil, you know. I watched him for 15 years, staring at the wall. you know,
hmm
he doesn't do all that stuff, but it's
but
clear.
he's clearly the guy.
Mhm.
What an uninteresting looking man, though. He just looks like every like history teacher you ever had.
Yeah, I think I'm guessing he's a psychology teacher because he's talking about, um, the brain and the limbic system.
Yeah, God Almighty. See, looking back, remember when they had those superimposed? What they call
Yeah,
them? You put them on the
I mean, did
the
they call those overhead
overhead
projectors?
projectors. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I remember those things. I remember having to use those things too, like when we had, reports and things where we had to get up in front of the class and do stuff.
hmm
Ooh, it got dark. Oh, that's fair.
So, Danny, what would you say are like some of the like great unknown slashers from the mid to late '80s?
The mid to late 80s. Well, this one's definitely one. I mean, I know it's not a great film, but is it a fun film? That's
Yeah, there's
what
a
you
lot
got
of.
to ask. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think. Mid to late though. Uh, Golly, you put me on the spot now. Because if somebody hadn't asked me, I could probably name off a ton of them.
I'm thinking like. I mean, it depends on how unknown you want to get. Like, didn't Doom Asylum come out like the late '80s?
I believe it did.
And that movie is awful in a great way.
I would almost say Happy Hell Night, but I don't think Happy Hell Night actually came out. It wasn't released till like the early 90s, I want to say.
I'll tell you one too is Intruder.
Intruder, yeah.
Yeah,
Another one that was actually filmed in the late 80s, but it might have been 1994 it came out, was Haunted Wing, the one that was filmed in Bowling Green.
yep.
I mean, people are probably thinking, well, gee, these movies aren't very good. Well, I didn't say they were good. They're not,
No,
they're not excellent pieces of cinema. But how many slashers are really, unless you're talking about the classics, the Halloweens and the Psychos and stuff like that.
that's exactly right. I mean, you can't really be hoping for a miracle with these movies, but they're
Mm-mm.
just they're just fun and they have a certain like a certain look to them
Yep.
that's very comforting for some reason.
It's nostalgia is what it
Yeah,
is. Because I remember watching a lot of these after my family got a VCR. Like I've said this before, when my family got our first VCR, that opened up a whole new world for me because it meant that now I could go to the video store and see all these horror movies that I never got a chance to see.
Danny, you remember like when I was a kid, VCRs were like the top loader kind, where you hit like the eject button and the top came up, then you
Yeah,
put the thing in and then shut it back down, and then eventually that moved where you just kind of like
the
stuck it
front
in the front. Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time we got one, see, my family was late adopters to everything. So I knew the top loaders, and my cousin Heather, her family had a top loading VCR.
Yeah.
But by the time we got ours, I remember Dad uh, buying it for. He wouldn't tell me and my brother what he was buying. He said he was getting a Christmas present for my mom, but what he was really doing was getting a Christmas present for everybody.
Of course. Yeah.
And I don't know if they had service merchandise stores in y'all's neck of the woods or not,
No.
but that was a store that we had in Owensboro. So, Dad would drive 30 minutes to get to Owensboro, and he went to service merchandise. That's where he bought our first family VCR, and it was an Emerson.
Oh yeah. I used to have
It,
an Emerson too.
it lasted forever. Now you're lucky if they last 2 days.
Listen, those first VCRs were fucking metal.
Yes.
Like they were not like the plastic kind that would come out later. Like they were like huge chunks of like metal that probably weighed 10 pounds. Like so they were indestructible. You could run into them, knock them over. Like
Oh gosh. But see, Heather's family managed to destroy a top loading VCR because they got somehow they jammed a tape in there backwards or
oh yeah,
did
that yeah.
some kind of thing to it. And my Uncle Jim took it apart and everything, but he just couldn't get it, working the way it should have again. But they had everything first. They had computers before we did at our house. They had a VCR before we did because my Uncle Jim was a techie sort of guy. He always has been.
Oh my god, Dana, they killed the ducks.
Yeah. See, and the whole thing about him getting hungry traveling from the mental hospital back to his hometown,
Yeah,
like that's
yeah,
Halloween stuff.
yeah. That's like they substituted a duck for the dog. So
And he ate several ducks. There were all kinds of um, dead ducks around there.
that's insane how much they're just kind of like going like by the book. Just somebody watched Halloween, they're like, all right, we're gonna take this.
Yeah, we're going to write down all these, things, and we're going to be real subtle about. No, they wasn't subtle.
No, there's no subtlety in this
Okay,
whatsoever.
now I want to know what's wrong with this dude. What in the hell's wrong with his arms?
He's doing the Steven Seagal like walk slash run.
Steve was convinced this guy wasn't liking girls. I said, well, he's got a girlfriend in this movie.
He's just way too animated. I don't know. Maybe he thought that's how you act. I'm not sure. Oh my god,
Mhm.
that is amazing. The acting level there is just S tier acting.
Oh, and he had to do that too.
He kind of reminds me of the dude, the main guy in Blood Rage. He kind of looks the
That's
same.
funny. I don't think it's the same guy, but I
No,
get what you're talking about. That guy from Blood Rage, that was Mark Soper.
I can't wait to watch that movie again. I watch that like every Thanksgiving.
Do you have the Arrow release of that?
Yes, I do.
I do too. This movie and Blood Rage, and there's several others that Steve has done commentaries with me for that he says he never wants to watch it ever again.
Really, Blood Rage is amazing. Like,
I know that's another one that it's not a great movie. It's just a
no,
fun
but
movie. And
there's
what
so many like just like batshit crazy moments in that movie, and also like the dialogue is so great that it's perfect.
Mhm. And where else can you find Ted Raimi for like a few seconds playing a condom salesman at a drive-in?
Nowhere, I'll tell you.
That's the only place.
Nowhere. I heard Ted Raimi kind of got a bad rap at a convention here. Somebody was mentioning him.
Was he nasty to somebody?
He's just being like kind of distant.
Well, when I wouldn't call him distant whenever I met him, but he just seemed very, very reserved. Didn't have a lot to say,
Yeah.
and
And
I
then you
had
saw. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I had worked up. See, this is why you don't work up your meetings with somebody up in your head.
Yep.
Because if you do that, you're going to be disappointed. And I think that's what happened to me.
There's a whole new legion of these people going to these conventions that are going to have the same experiences that we did 15, 20 years ago now,
Mhm.
where you're going to think it's going to be the best thing ever and like you're going to have this, amazing interaction. That's just ain't what happens, man.
I think what happened with me a lot of times is the people that I didn't know I was going to have a fantastic interaction with, those were the people I ended up having that fantastic interaction with, like Dean Cameron. When I met that guy, I don't know if you've ever met Dean Cameron at a convention, but
No, huh?
I met him because I wanted to, talk about summer school.
Of
Uh,
course.
and, he was in Bad Dreams and some other, some comedy
Wasn't
stuff.
he in like Ski School or one of those
Yeah,
movies like
yeah,
that?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Ski
But
Patrols. There's like a
when
million
I met him, he was so funny and just like was very giving of his time and stuff. And like I loved the picture that he took with me because he was like almost like he was leaning his head on my shoulder and stuff. He was just
Yeah.
that was so much fun. And then I met Gary Riley, who starred in Summer School with Dean Cameron. He was Dave. Um, so he was just as sweet as can be. And those two guys, meeting those two guys right back to back was just amazing experience. But then, other people that, like, I know some people say, well, I can't believe that you weren't excited about your interaction with Jamie Lee Curtis. And it wasn't a bad experience.
You
It just
know,
was not anything to write home about.
yeah, that's the same with me. I mean, I don't think I had as a bad a thing with you as you did because you had the guy that was in front of you that
The
dropped all the
poor
stuff.
guy, I felt sorry for.
But it wasn't anything to write home about. Like I barely remember it. Like I'm sure it was just a couple of seconds and then
She
it was over
barely
with.
had time to look at me
Yeah,
because I don't remember who it was, if it was Sean Clark or somebody else that leaned over to her. I can't remember now. Things like that are sort of a blur now. But somebody leaned over and told her, right, because I could hear, because I was up on the stage where she was at that point in time. They said, basically, we got to get these people through here because you got a Q&A right after this. I'm like, I wanted to say, who in the hell schedules a Q&A that late at night?
that's true.
I mean, what? And she'd been signing all day and all night too. And like, I don't know. I don't know how they could organize it better, but you would think that they could organize it a little bit better because the people that got to meet her first, the people that were lucky enough, got the luck of the draw and got those tickets that were early in the day, they're the ones that benefited the most from meeting her, not us people that had to wait till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
No, and I tell you though the more memorable thing for me about that was the picture that we took with her
Hmm.
because she was so confused. It was so great the look on her face about what the hell we were doing. Uh, I think after that she was like, I thought it was like a college fraternity prank or something like that. But no, it's just we had that pose planned.
I liked it though, but I bet she did look a little confused in that picture.
I think honestly, now come to find out, I think Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of a bitch. Like I'm just saying, like you heard the whole Danielle Harris and Scott Taylor
Mm.
Compton thing and all that. Like I I don't think she's a very nice person away from
I
bigger interviews and stuff.
I think that Jamie Lee Curtis has gotten better or something over the years because if I know what you said about like some of these bigger interviews, but I went back and watched, and it's on YouTube, um, where Mick Garris from a long, long
Oh
time
yeah,
ago, he interviewed her.
yeah.
It was like at the Sci-Fi and Fantasy Film Festival or something. And Jamie Lee Curtis was really young, and she was talking about, prom night and stuff like that. And she seemed very gracious and stuff like that. I just think she's gotten bitter and jaded over the years.
Little known fact, and did you know that Mick Garris was her first agent?
I didn't know that he was her agent, but I
Yeah.
knew that he had helped her out with something.
And I suspect because I always listen to his podcast, which is a great podcast, by the way. If
Hmm.
anybody like doesn't listen to it, um, it's the postmortem podcast.
Okay.
Uh, I suspect from some of the stuff that he said that they may have dated for a while, like in that early like period there in the early '80s.
Huh. Interesting.
But yeah, Mick Garris is a interesting, strange dude.
Yeah, it
Well,
was funny to see him with short hair on
yeah.
that old interview.
I mean, if you think about it, he's kind of like the precursor to everything like horror journalist. I mean, he was doing
Mhm.
that shit. He was doing roundtables and stuff with like Carpenter and Romero and stuff in like it's either the late '70s or early '80s.
You know,
So
he sort of reminds me of how Cameron Crowe was with
yeah,
a lot of those music type of movies or those teen movies that he had something to do with a long
yep,
time ago. So Mick Garris seems to be in the horror world. Mick Garris seems like a Cameron Crowe, like Wonder Kid or whatever. He
yeah. But
started out
by
doing
God,
that
he
stuff.
is not a good director. Like, let's be clear. Like that man has made so many horrible movies.
Well, there's some stuff like some of the Stephen King stuff that he did. I enjoyed, but I'm not going to say everything that he's
No,
done
have
is
you ever
good.
seen The Shining that he did? Oh my God,
Well, there's things I like about that Shining miniseries and things I don't like. Like I don't like the kid that plays
the
Dan.
kid is awful.
I
Yeah.
hate that kid. I just want to strangle that
And
kid.
I don't like the fact that he was the Jack Torrance character was walking around with a polo mallet, like instead of an. I mean, it's just some of those
Well,
choices were just
I think though. Have you read The Shining, the book?
yeah, a long time ago. And
Mhm.
I know it's more like faithful to the book because Stephen King was
Yeah,
actually like had a part in that miniseries, but I don't think that translates well to an
to
audience.
like in a movie
Yeah,
atmosphere. Yeah, I get that because I mean they didn't have the hedge maze. They had the hedge animals that
yeah.
attacked them in the miniseries. That was also in the book, but I'm not saying Shelley Duvall is not a good actress, but I think that Kubrick's The Shining is a great horror movie. I don't think it mirrors King's book, but I don't think Kubrick meant for it to.
No,
I
I don't
think
either.
Kubrick meant to make his own thing.
I don't think he gave a shit. You know.
But I think Rebecca De Mornay is a better Wendy. Um, I don't know about Steven Weber though, is playing Jack.
There's a finger, Dana.
Yeah, is
Random
everybody
finger. Sorry.
getting the offerings title connection yet? Because
I think
I
we're
did.
starting to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Steve, this was about right about the time that Steve was like, "Oh, offerings, I get it."
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I could do a whole stream just on like comparisons between Kubrick Shining and the miniseries um, Shining. But I'll tell you who I think is the best at adapting King stuff is Darabont.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would
No
agree with
matter
that.
what you might think about the mist, we can leave the mist out of there and we can talk about all kinds of other, stuff. But I think Frank Darabont is just fantastic.
Yeah, I think that it's much more suited for than Mick Garris.
Mm,
He just his all of his films always had like a very generic kind of feel to them. I don't know how else to.
mhm,
Even the ones I liked, like Critters 2 and stuff like that,
right.
like they just had a look to them that was just not very visually appealing, and especially those Stephen King. Now I like The Stand. I think that that's
Yeah.
probably my favorite thing
The
that Mick
Stand's
Garris ever did.
probably that's what I was going to bring up. The Stand, that was a fantastic miniseries. That has to be probably my favorite King miniseries
Yeah.
that's been done. I like some of the others. I'll tell you one I didn't like though was the Rose Red stuff.
You didn't like Rose Red? I kind of liked that when it
I
came
don't
out.
know. There was just something that was just a little off about that one for me. Um, and I don't know if this was because Stephen King wasn't adapting his own work, but Kingdom Hospital, I never
Oh
got
yeah, that
into
one
that Kingdom
that did
Hospital
suck.
stuff.
Yeah. And what was I didn't like the what was the one with Rob Lowe? I didn't like that one either.
Well, I know Rob Lowe he was in The Stand
Yeah, but
though.
it wasn't that one though.
I'm trying to think
He
here.
was like the star of this one, like Rob Lowe was.
Did they redo Salem's Lot?
That might have been what it was. Somebody on here's bound to know.
Because it seems like that's what it was.
Yeah, I think it was Salem's Lot. Now that I think about it, I think it was the remake miniseries of Salem's Lot, which was awful.
I'm reading some of these chat messages here. The mayor
I
says,
know. I just caught
shit,
catching
every
on.
time I went to the drive-in, I always found Ted Raimi selling condoms in the bathroom. I guess
That's
that's what
right.
he does between film rolls. Oh man. Oh, Darren said Anguish is a good underrated
Yeah,
slash
it is.
97. Yeah, I agree with that. Reggie, are you coming to join in on the watch along? Reggie's standing right here beside me.
Bro.
What do you
It's
want?
it's insane though how much they copied Halloween in this movie.
Oh, there he is. There's my buddy. Where's your little fur
Where
ball at?
running around the house somewhere.
Look, it's Uncle Bill, Reggie.
Reggie's like, what's going on? Pay attention to me.
What do you want? I'll give you a kiss, okay? No, you can't. No,
Yep,
you'll
that's what's gonna happen.
you'll type on my keyboard and then everything will go kaput. You gotta get down, okay?
These two are just gonna need to die soon. That girl right there, look, is she supposed to be in high school? Because she looks like she's 35 years old in this movie.
I think they're supposed to be in college.
Okay.
I don't know what year, but
Did you catch the scene earlier too that they ripped off from Halloween where they're in the classroom and the teacher's reading the book about death and all that, just like the
oh,
scene.
I didn't catch that, but
Yeah,
now that you bring it up, yeah.
it's like Jesus, man. Like they even took the scenes out that really didn't, weren't the big scenes.
And they had the guy that did this Russell Allen that did the music. He tried to do Carpenter, but not very successfully.
That's another dude that nobody should ever meet, by the way. Like I love his movies, I love his scores, but that you should never meet Carpenter unless you
Well,
just.
I brought this up one other night when I met Carpenter at that Fright Night Film Fest. I He actually was conversational with me, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if there was something I said, or that just or his interest was just a little bit better at that point in time. I don't know.
I heard that at that show, like if you went outside when he was smoking cigarettes and stuff, because he would go out and smoke like every 10 minutes, like he was really like more kind of conversational than he was like inside.
I wonder if he's just uncomfortable with all
I
of that.
there's something to it, yeah.
And maybe if he's out there, maybe he wasn't just smoking cigarettes. Maybe he was
That's
smoking
true.
something else and it was calming him or something.
I'll
Um,
say this: like I remember an interview with him where he said that his mother had really really bad mental illness. I don't know if it was schizophrenia or something like that, but it was pretty bad, whatever it was.
mm.
And I just wonder if somehow or another he doesn't have some, kind of really bad, I don't know,
I mean, yeah, he could have
anxiety
some.
or, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I know when, I'm not the most conversational of people when my anxiety's high either. I'm just a mess. When it gets really bad, I just as soon just sit in a corner and cry as to make any conversation with people. Um, but when I'm happy, I'm happy. Just like, now on here, I'm fine. But
Oh
um,
my God, getting pulled underneath the bed.
yeah, now, okay, I want to ask you this for real. It's like, okay, so we seen the guy, the killer, slide under the bed, right?
Uh huh.
And so Greg is coming in here and he's getting ready for bed. This scene is so funny, though. I don't think he hadn't looked at the picture of Gretchen yet, but he's going to. We got to do this because that is the most hilarious look.
It is.
And he's like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I heard something in here." Oh, he's got Skeleton Crew. I've forgotten about that. Stephen King's book is right there on the shelf.
He just goes back to that look. Yeah.
I
He's like, oh, yeah. Oh, I'd forgotten there for a second.
Okay, so we know that the killer is under the bed.
Right.
Okay, so here in a minute, something's going to happen that I don't know how it's logically possible.
I cannot believe you're trying to find logic in this movie, but okay, I'll go
You
along
know,
with
I'm just saying, I just wonder if anybody else finds it as illogical as I do. No, I never look for logic in horror movies. This is just so insane and so just kind of out there.
I love the music too. It's like just a kind of cycle version of the Halloween theme.
Yeah, it's like
Slowed down.
it's discount Halloween
Yeah.
music's what it is. I always thought this part was funny too. Like, oh
What?
yeah, really smart dude. Leave a loaded gun by your bed. That's okay. So we know that the
Hmm.
killer's got the gun now.
Yeah. I
And
think I know.
this guy's gonna do something that we know we've seen enough horror movies. You don't ever do this.
Yep.
Okay, so see how he's pulling him under there?
Uh huh.
Okay. First of all, how did the killer fit under the bed without part of him hanging out? That's what I really want to.
Yeah, sideways like that. I have
Yeah,
no
how
idea.
do that? So that was really the part I didn't understand. And then he's able to
He
pull.
drags him in there. Yeah.
It's
So,
like, how big is this underneath?
well, that's the funny thing because like his whole like top part of his body would be coming out the other side if he was dragging him like that. Oh, here comes the blood. They're just kind of pumping it out here.
Yeah, somebody's sitting there
Yeah.
pumping that blood out, and it ain't Tom Savini either.
No, I told you it's Fernando Valenzuela. We all know.
Okay, I want to know, like, is this maybe like a short film that they're watching that this Christopher Reynolds maybe did
Probably.
too, or because I'm like, I don't think this is a real movie.
It's a film inside a film, like in Popcorn, except not nearly as
Yeah,
good.
right.
You ever think about that though? How good those like films were? Just the short parts of them in the movie Popcorn.
Well, yeah, and have you seen like all the behind the scenes stuff where they talk about how oh, what's his face that started out directing the movie?
Oh yeah, yeah,
He did all those, the films within the film, but they said he did a good job with those, but he was not good at directing the main part of the film. And so essentially they fired him
yeah,
and replaced him with one of the actors from Porky's. I think it was
yeah.
Billy from Porky's ended up finishing it up. And the girl that was playing Jill Schoen's part got replaced early on. They just fired her and got Jill Schoen in. So if you watch the beginning of Popcorn where they're cleaning up that Dreamland movie theater, you'll see two blonde girls. And one blonde remains throughout the movie till she gets killed off. But the other blonde is supposed to be Maggie.
Yeah.
And, if you look real close, you don't see Jill Schoen in those parts. You see the original girl. So it's kind of strange.
What are your thoughts about Jill Schwellen? Because I always I thought she was really good in Stepfather, but like all the other stuff that I've seen her in, she just kind of acts like she don't know what the hell's going on. Like she's just
Like,
kind of there.
I hate to say this about Jill Schoen because I like her and everything, but she always has this doped up look
Yeah, I don't.
to
That,
her. And I don't know. And I don't think she's on drugs. But even when she's being interviewed, she looks like that. And so I don't really know what's going on with
there's
her.
just something about where she's just. I don't know if it's her just not very being a very good actress or, but like I said, I thought she was good in Stepfather, so I know she can act. But like in a lot of these films, she just seems lost or something.
Yeah, yeah, like she's kind of just wandering around, like
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing here. Um, and I think it's a little bit like maybe it was Darren that mentioned that somebody mentioned one night when I was doing I think one of my De Palma streams that
Yeah.
Nancy Allen's not a very good actress.
No, she's not. That's true. She wasn't very good in RoboCop, and she like a lot of the things that I've seen her in, she has not been very good in.
But
Poltergeist 3.
what I said was I think her performances are uneven. Some of them are good, like she's great in Carrie.
Yeah.
I think she's great in Dress to Kill. Some people might think differently, but like in Blowout, I thought that was a weak performance from her in Blowout. Um, it almost looked like they didn't know what to do with that character. Maybe I was just reading way too much into it or something. But um, so I think the same way about Jill Schoen, that her performances are uneven. Some things she's great in, other things it looks like she's sleepwalking through.
Hmm. Maybe it is drugs. Maybe that's the missing piece.
Everybody's on drugs.
I know you saw her recently when Joe Bob had her on, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yep. So I think this is funny. Like, where some of those body parts ended up, don't you? They just
Uh-huh.
ate those pizzas
Yeah.
and Steve kept making jokes about the sheriff, which this sheriff is like in every slasher movie from the 80s. The
Uh-huh.
sheriffs don't want to do anything. They don't
No.
want. They don't take anything serious enough. They don't want to.
I mean, that's fairly true, though.
Exactly. I've had to deal with cops before, unfortunately, and
Yeah.
they're not very helpful. But in every slasher movie from the 80s, they were always like that.
I go back in my head, too, to when Wes and I had the video camera stolen out of our car when we were at the movie theater, and the cop showed up and he was like, well, Yeah, we're probably not going to find it. You'll probably never get any of this stuff back, but we'll, give
It's
it a
like,
shot
gee,
or whatever.
thanks.
It's like,
Yeah, the dealing I had with a cop was when I was working for the library system here in Louisville, and hadn't been in computer services very long, and somebody stole some pieces of equipment. They weren't laptops; they were maybe like Chromebooks or something like that, and somebody had stolen like six of them. And so my manager in computer services, he didn't want to fool with it. So he asked me to call the cops, make a report. And then a cop came and I had to talk to him. And that cop was totally disinterested in, like, helping us out or anything. He just wanted to leave. He was like, well, do you have all this stuff documented? And I'm like, yeah. We were actually able to get them back, but what happened was a security guard that the library hired, and they can go, basically security guards can go anywhere in the library they wanted to. And so they had come through computer services and stole a bunch of our
oh
Chromebooks.
yeah,
And I guess he got scared and thought about it, after the fact, and thought, oh, maybe I better bring these back. So what the library must have told him, hey, if you bring these back and you quit without incident, you know,
yeah,
then we won't press any charges. And so the guy basically got fired or was forced to quit or whatever, and he brought the equipment back. But we just got lucky on that deal.
yeah. That normally doesn't happen.
Mm. Well, that guy's toast.
That's an interesting death scene. Like
Yeah,
you really have to be almost like a cattle rancher to be able to do that.
and the parents are like, they're just down there watching cartoons and eating cake, and like they don't even pay attention. Like, I think the mother turns around and looks out the window like a split second after he pulls this guy up. There she goes.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have a deputy that shows up here a little bit later that reminds me a lot of cops around my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, this is the guy, but you'll see him again later. His name's Buddy, and he thinks he's one of these cops that's really goofy and probably doesn't even know how to tie his own shoelaces, he acts like, or anything like that. But he he thinks he's a big deal. He thinks he can stop crime. And there is the freaking guy. I don't know where he got the newspapers, if he killed the paper boy or what happened, but he's riding the bike.
Is that the guy?
Yes. And we're gonna see why he only threw one paper, and that was at Gretchen's house.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, yeah, Steve didn't catch that either. I said, "That's the freaking guy," and he said, "What guy?" I said, "The
No, I
killing
mean
guy."
they really could have done a better job of setting that shot up. I think you know who that was.
Now here's another weird character that's going to show up for just one scene, who is interning to be a mortician. But this is a weird ass guy here. The guy that's fixing the grave.
There you go. That's how you
Okay,
do it.
this is another thing. Okay, the grave of John Radley's mother got destroyed, basically. Okay, what else does that sound like? It sounds like Halloween,
Uh
doesn't
huh.
it?
Same thing. Same
Mm.
kind of thing. The plot devices are just using all of them.
Steve said this guy looks like Andy Dick.
He does. Kind of acts like him too.
I've been hearing a lot of bad things about Andy Dick lately. Steve was listening to some podcast or something where they were talking about him.
Yeah, he's been on coke and heroin for so long that I mean it's hard to say.
Probably just fried his brain. Evidently, this guy doesn't believe in personal space.
No. Figure out what the hell he's doing.
I guess he's killing earthworms because he says they ruin a good job.
That is just out there, yeah. But you need that character, you know?
Do you?
Yeah, you need the eccentric, like, dude that, yeah. It's like the crazy Ralph thing.
Yeah, but they could have put him in there a little bit earlier. It's like you see him in this one scene, that's it. Speaking of nutty, that's
Mm-hmm.
all like this where he says it's shattered to hell. Oh, 71. I guess you remember this movie. Now you say, I saw this movie because I remember the one part. She was all excited because she thought she hadn't seen the offerings.
Ah, that's right. He is kind of doing the friggin' hitchhiker gimmick from Texas Chainsaw. Like the way he's acting and everything.
Hmm.
Speaking of which, did you buy the Texas Chainsaw 2 from Vinegar Syndrome?
Steve did.
How is that? Has he watched it?
We watched it. I thought it after it got past like the beginning parts of it looked a little rough, but then after you got a few minutes into it, it looked decent. I don't know if I would say run out and go spend money on it right away,
Yeah, I mean those
but
things are expensive as hell, so I'm
mhm.
probably not gonna go ahead and re-buy that again.
Steve asked me, he said, "Where's this movie supposed to take place?" And after I found out a little bit more about it, I said, "I think Oklahoma," because like I said earlier, I think this was filmed in
Yeah, that makes
Oklahoma.
sense. The colors, or the school colors and everything for Oklahoma.
Hmm. And she's got an Oklahoma
Yeah.
shirt on. We don't ever know. We probably don't want to know what happened to Bud,
No,
her
probably not.
dog. But so she's gonna go and get the newspaper. The only person in town that got a newspaper today.
I tell you what I watched recently that was fucking insane, but kind of like quirky enough to where it was great. Is
Hmm.
that Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in
Oh
Hell?
gosh. Don't that movie look like shit though?
It does. I mean, it looks awful, like a VHS, like a really bad second generation VHS. But
Second or third generation
I
VHS.
just thought that it was like a really good kind of rip off of Evil Dead. You know, like a
Hmm.
just kind of in the same way that they made Evil Dead. Like everything was practical. They did
Right.
some of the claymation shit in it, like, and it was just
Hmm.
it was pretty good. It was pretty entertaining. It's only like 60 minutes too, so you never get bored or anything.
Yeah, I think Steve was a little bit disappointed that he spent money on it.
Really, I would have. I mean, It's on Shutter right now if anybody wants to see it. That's how I
Yeah,
watched it.
yeah, that would probably be a better route now rather than spend the money on it. From Vengeance Video, is that the
Yeah,
one that did
Visual
that?
Vengeance, I think.
Visual Vengeance. Okay,
Yeah,
they did L.A. Age Jabber and
yeah.
um,
They did the other one too that was like some sort
uh,
of Japanese. I can't
well,
remember the
didn't
name of
they
it.
do like Suburban
They
Sasquatch?
did, yeah. Which we reviewed that movie probably in like 2006 or 7.
Wow.
Whenever it came out, like we reviewed it. And I saw that movie before anybody. Like, and, I mean, not anybody, but I saw it before Wes did or anything like that, and just thought it was amazingly shitty and great in that way. The next live stream will probably be the Thursday night for the
Mm.
Black Friday stuff.
Oh, Darren's asking if you've seen Barbarian.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I want
Uh,
to know what you thought of it because I know what I think.
I listen. I'll just be honest with you. Like number one, I was not expecting that to be at any like nothing about the title or anything like that gives you any indication of what that movie is going to be about. But number two, I was kind of let down by it just because like
Yeah,
I thought the first half was really great and the setup and everything was really really good. Like and you were like, what in the hell's going on? Like
yeah.
you're really interested in it at that point. And then when they have like the reveal and everything. And when Jordan Long comes into it,
I hate that guy. I still hate that guy. I mean,
it just kind of falls apart to me. Like the whole
yeah.
movie kind of falls apart.
What? I
And
don't
like
even know why he had to be there. Why did that character have to be there?
I didn't like that. I thought he was like awful in that movie. I didn't
He
enjoy it.
he
Like
destroyed the last
yeah,
part
I
of
mean
that
up to
movie.
that point, everybody was doing a great job, and he comes in with that awful character and just kind of like
Yep.
shits the bed of the movie. But um, you don't see movies like that anymore. That movie reminded me of like The Unseen or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
don't make movies like that now.
No. But I'm like you though. The setup was awesome. And they
Yeah.
could have really had some with that, and they had to go and mess it all up and stick Justin Long in there and do that. I don't I don't even know what to say about that other than it was just awful.
Well, it had great like potential, and
Hmm.
like I said, the first part of it, you're like, my God, like they do a really good job with the tension and the atmosphere of the movie and everything, and then it just falls apart in the end.
The mayor says he went in completely blind to Barbarian and loved it. I went in completely blind to it as well. I didn't,
I did too.
read
Yeah,
anything on it. Um, and Steve said, "You want to watch this Barbarian?" So we sat down and we watched it one day. And like most of you say, the setup or the first, you know, portion of the movie is great. And then when old dumbass shows up, then the whole thing falls apart.
I tell you the movie that I've seen because I've tried to watch like the majority of stuff that came out this year because we're going to do the year end shows soon. Where we do the
Hmm.
reviews of everything that came out. The one that impressed me the most, and I've seen like a lot of them, like I said, was probably Pearl. Um, and just for no other, there's nothing exceptional in that movie in terms of like what goes on, but Mia Goth in that movie is outstanding. Like her,
Exactly. I'm like you. There's nothing that really stands out as wow. That was
yeah.
a fantastic piece of filmmaking. I have never seen a movie filmed that way.
Well, and
You know what I mean?
I've never seen a female character like that in a horror film either.
Yeah.
Like where it was
No.
that,
Never.
that kind of level of like, and what she was doing in that movie, and yeah, so that was probably my favorite. I loved Terrifier 2, even though a lot of people are really split on Terrifier 2. Listen, it's a brutal movie. I get it. Like a
Mhm.
lot of that stuff in there, like is not anything you ever want to see again.
Uh,
But I just thought that the guy, I guess his name is David Howard Thornton, the guy that plays Art is just
yeah.
amazing. Like I mean, it's genuinely scary. It genuinely like lives up to the name Terrifier in terms of like his performance in that movie.
Now, I liked the first Terrifier. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah,
But and people probably think, Dana, you're wussing out in your old age or something. But I just felt like Steve did that. We sat there and we watched Terrifier 2, and it was just like it got to the point of overkill. It's like enough already, well placed gore. I'm fine with, but like the scene where he like hacks that girl's hand off and he
yeah.
peels half of her face off and he does all this stuff to her and she still ain't dead. And then I could have sworn that he brought bleach and
He did.
like
Yeah,
salt
yeah.
in there and poured it all over until she's, that, and then she's still not dead. She's still propped up against the headboard of the bed. I'm like, enough already. And
Well,
that's the only problem I had with it.
the thing about that, even though it is so extreme,
Mhm.
is that scene probably made that's probably what kept that movie in the theaters as long as it was in the theaters, because
Mhm.
nowadays you needed something like that in order to cross over and like be like the people were saying it's the new Exorcist. Like people were going into it like knowing it was going to be like something horrible in it that you didn't want to see, and
Mhm.
so people would kind of, you would make bets with your friends to go in and see it, and like it's a great gimmick. I mean, it really is to
Yeah,
get.
I agree with that, and I'm not gonna say that it's a horrible movie and it has no place in the genre. I'm not gonna say that. I'm just saying that I just thought some parts of it were just overkill.
They
Uh,
were, yeah, there's no doubt.
and perhaps that's what they were going for. Maybe they just want to keep getting more and more extreme with them. Um,
I think that's kind of what he was going for. But I was more fascinated with the idea of like having a clown that when he kills somebody, he's acting like as if like a clown would when they're like, doing magic tricks and like
yeah, when they're doing
fun
stuff in a
little.
kid's
Yeah,
birthday party, it's like, and he's got that smile and them
yeah.
damn teeth. I mean, because did you watch the first Terrifier?
Oh yeah, I saw it when it
Yeah.
came out and it was on,
Now,
yeah, Netflix.
I thought, and I don't think Steve was a big fan of Terrifier. But I really liked it. I liked it so much I wanted to show it to my mom. Of course, she fell asleep during it. She fell asleep before anything, before it really, kicked into high gear. And I thought that was unique too. The setup of this evil guy dressed as a clown or evil clown, whatever way you want to look at him, and the whole the whole setup with the girls when they're in the restaurant, when they're
Yep,
in that pizza restaurant,
yep,
and he comes in and he sits there and he's staring at that one girl and he keeps
yep.
staring at her, keeps staring at her, and she looks at him and he just goes, and so
Hmm.
I can't do it like him, but I mean, like, because I don't have those nasty looking teeth and stuff.
Well, there's a similar scene in Terrifier 2 that kind of got me too, and it's the scene where she's getting ready to kill him.
Hmm.
Spoiler alert. But well, he's not really dead anyway, so that I mean that's not gonna happen anyway. But like the scene where she's hacking at him and stuff, and
Hmm.
he's got that real serious look on his face, and then he just smiles real big and like turns his head. I'm like, what the fuck?
And that chick in the first one, her friend that goes and sits on his lap and takes a selfie and stuff,
Yep.
that all of that setup is, I think what that does is that lulls you into like a false sense of, oh, I see what they're doing. They're trying to be funny with this. And then all
Uh huh.
hell breaks loose and there's no going back once you get to that point. And it is so brutal, even that original
It
film.
is. Yeah. Like the first one, I didn't. There's a lot of stuff that happens in that movie that I didn't see coming either. Like for the people that haven't seen it, there's like a lot of twists towards the end of it too.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I like both those movies. I thought that the laundromat scene in Terrifier 2 was probably my favorite scene of anything I've seen. with maybe the exception being like the monologue in Pearl that goes on for like 10 minutes, where she's
Oh,
trying to
yes.
explain like that she wants to be happy and all this and all the stuff that's going on, and yeah,
Mm.
those two scenes like to me were pretty close to perfect.
I'll tell you the end of Pearl. Like, I'm not going to go into deep detail about it, but I'm sure Uncle Bill and some of the rest of you guys that have seen Pearl know what I'm talking about when I talk about the ending of Pearl. When her husband comes back from
Yeah,
the war,
yeah.
that scene is just so out there, and it I don't know, it's such a simple scene, really, but it gets under your skin,
It does.
and it stays there for a while.
It's pretty perfect too the way that she does the end. Yeah.
So what's going on offerings here? Let me get. Oh, okay. We're back to
Yeah, we're the sheriff is
Doctor Loomis. We're back to Doctor Loomis clone
yeah,
here.
he's reviewing his file.
This is funny though. Why would you do that with the flashlight? He just shined it right in his face, and so like I'm gonna
He
blind myself before I go check this old
will
whale
make sure
out.
it wants to make sure it's on.
So they're figuring out that that's where John Radley is putting the remaining parts of the bodies, the parts he's not offering to Gretchen. This guy's not as smart as Dr. Loomis,
No,
and we're gonna
no.
see why here in just a second. Well, there's obviously some dead, decaying bodies in there.
No,
Oh, of
my
course, the
God.
flashlight's not working. Ah, there he is. Now, what would
Um,
Dr. Loomis do here? I know what he would do.
what do you think he would do, Dan?
He would shoot him 6 times.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
And he would have a damn gun. This guy has no weapons
He
except
hasn't
this
figured.
damn flashlight, and he gives it to him. Why would you do
I
that?
have no idea.
This has got to be one of the dumbest people on the face of the earth.
He's just sticking up his ass. That's how he kills him. You ever seen Silent Rage?
Silent Rage.
It's the one with Chuck Norris where he goes up
I
against the.
I think it's one that I always wanted to see, but I have not seen
That's kind of who this guy reminds me
it.
of.
Really?
Yeah.
So he just got taken out by his own damn flashlight. Now he's going to get. I guess he gets hacked up and put in the well too. Either that or that's one of the kids.
Uh huh. It's the well of hell, if you will.
And now the damn flashlight's working. I guess you got to beat somebody to death with it and it'll start working again. And then I guess he takes that guy's car.
Somebody told him to drive.
Yeah, you don't have anybody saying that either. Like Don Pleasance would have been going, he was doing very well last night. He would have been screaming
Yeah.
about it. Oh, here's this stupid deputy. This guy's right out of Hancock County, I tell you, which is where I'm from, guys, in case anybody didn't know that.
Yeah, he's doing his best Barney Fife impression, I'm sure.
Looks like it's starting to get light out there. They better hurry up and get these shots done. It's going to get daylight.
What is another Thanksgiving horror movie, by the way, aside from the talking turkey one? What's that one called?
Oh, the
Uh,
Thanksgiving.
yeah,
Uh, oh, let's see. There's Blood Rage. There's Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home is a great one. Yeah.
Thanksgiving. And there's a. I was thinking, no, maybe that's a Christmas one. There's a movie called Home for the Holidays that has Holly Hunter in it and Robert Downey Jr. That's a comedy movie.
Yeah.
Then there's another movie, like it might be an old, like made for TV type of movie that has Sally Field on it. It's a really old movie and it's called Home for the Holidays. And Steve got me a copy of it or found a way for me to watch it back when we were dating. And he thought that was the Home for the Holidays that I wanted. And I actually wanted the comedy movie. And he said, well, this one takes place on Thanksgiving, but I actually think it takes place around Christmas time. But I was trying to think if there were any more others other than the ones we mentioned. Actually, I'm doing a watch along for Thanksgiving next weekend.
Are you really?
Yeah, at the request of old Curly Jaws, he wants me to do a watch along for that.
I really like the first one though. It just got a little out of hand.
Steve spent this whole movie making fun of the sheriff, though, in a very
I,
un PC way.
I'm sure. Yeah. They need to. Somebody needs to come out and make like the quintessential Thanksgiving horror movie because I don't think that. I mean, Blood Rage is great, but it's just like goofy and kind of out there. Like, there's never been like a real great Thanksgiving horror movie.
Yeah, yeah. Blood Rage is probably the closest thing we got
Yeah.
to one right now.
I don't even know how the hell you'd explain Home Sweet Home to anybody. If you had to.
You can't. You just got to watch it. I don't think there is any adequate way to describe Home Sweet
Uh-uh.
Home.
So this guy is definitely going to die. And the question
Yeah,
is,
because he's too stupid to remain in this movie very much longer.
well, the shots like that, somebody's coming up from behind. It's just,
Ah,
yeah, there we
there
go.
he is. Oh yeah, bail out on your friend.
She's
That's
out.
real nice.
I mean, that's pretty much realistic, though. That's probably what would happen.
Yeah, you know who your real friends are when something like this happens because basically you have no real friends because they would all leave. And I think that would be more so now in this generation than back then. Nobody gives a shit about anybody else.
I miss them striped shirts like that, man.
Do you?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think she reminds me of a referee or
It's like the Hamburglar. Yeah.
which one were you talking about? Looks about 40 years old.
That blonde.
The blonde. Oh, okay.
She's like, I know if she's supposed to be in high school or college, they really miscast. Like,
Yeah, I think college is what they're supposed to be in. But if you want to see a chick that pretty much looks like she's either 40 or on her way to being 40, watch Terror at Ten Killer if you haven't watched that. And the main girl's friend, holy crap! You want to talk about looking old, and they're supposed to be college students.
mm-hmm. I tell you another one I want to watch here soon is again is Mutilator, just
Oh
because
yeah,
the kids are getting ready to go on fall break.
yeah, yeah.
So It's always like when I like to watch that
I
one.
did a watch along for that when I think a little bit before Halloween, maybe.
Listen, I'm determined to learn that fucking song because it's been in my head for like ever since I've seen that movie.
Oh my gosh, you watch that movie and it gets stuck in your head.
Uh,
Can't get it out. I even find myself singing along with it when that movie comes on. Did I ever tell you I interviewed the guy that played Ralph
mm-mm.
in that movie? Yeah, Bill Hitchcock. I interviewed him back when I was doing the fanzine.
No, I didn't know that. That'd be a good one too, honestly, to get somebody to come on from it and do
Yeah.
like a watch along kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn Monroe's 35 and Slaughter High. Yeah, that's a good example too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she even admitted she was like, I looked way too old.
Man, yeah.
You know, Steve had a chance to meet her. She came to, I think she came to Wild and Woolly. Like, this has been years and years and years
Yeah.
ago before I even met Steve. And he had a chance to go meet her and maybe get something signed, and he couldn't do it. He was too nervous. He couldn't. I said, "You mean tell me you couldn't go
Really?
down to Wild and Woolly and meet Caroline Monroe? Come on."
Did you ever meet Barbara Steele when she was up there at one of those whorehounds, Dana?
I did not meet her. Steve went up and met her, and I think I took their picture.
That's another one where she was just completely out there. Like,
Well, I've heard some things like um, if if you watch Joe Bob talk about her, he basically talks like she was a total prima donna.
she seems
She,
like it.
she accused, I think she accused Bava of being able to film her underneath her
Hmm.
clothes. And I'm
Hmm.
like, what kind of nut job was she that she if he had a camera like that, and I think he told her, he said, Barbara, if I had a camera like that, I wouldn't be making movies. You know, would be doing something else. I'd probably be a millionaire or something.
You could just tell though there was something wrong with her, like the way
Mm.
that she acted in that show. She sat there with sunglasses on the entire time, like her arms crossed, just kind of like,
Yeah, she looked like she wanted to spit on everybody that
yeah.
walked past her. Yeah, I don't care for her, and I don't think Steve thought she was just drop dead gorgeous when she was younger. I'm like, Steve, she's odd looking. Her nose was turned up, and you know, I didn't think she was that good of an actress either.
She's too damn hoity-toity now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess he chopped Casey's head off, didn't
Yeah. The Halloween music's killing me.
he? Very bad Halloween ripoff music. This is if you can't get Carpenter, get Russell D. Allen to do your music.
Uh, and then get Fernando Valenzuela to do your
If you
special
can't get
effects.
Savini,
Yeah.
you can get Valenzuela.
This movie has no shame. It just,
No, it doesn't. It does not.
here
Buddy
you go.
can't help you. He got stabbed with his
Yeah.
own pen or pencil or whatever.
I'll be honest with you though, like it's no worse than like any of the other slashers that came out around that
No,
time.
not really. Especially not at this point in time. He's still got Casey's
Hmm.
head. Oh, he did the head
Yeah,
cock.
you got to.
Now she's gonna be the
That's
one shooting
sounds like a damn can and a gun don't sound like
him.
that.
I wonder. I forgot to count how many times she shot him. Did she shoot him 6 times?
I think so. It's hard to say though. It's like Dirty Harry. Oh,
Yeah, he still don't want to die.
nobody saw that coming.
Sorry, out of bullets. dude got weird looking. I mean, I don't know what in the hell happened to him in that well. You know what? Art the Clown must have been in that well, and he must have done something
Just
to his
fucked him up,
face.
yeah.
Miss Davis can't help you either.
Shit, she drank too much wine, just spilled all over herself. I got that music on like a Casio loop or something. There we go. Kick his ass.
Well, now the sheriff shows up.
He's the only one that really knows what's going on. Here we go. I don't feel like he's going to stop.
Now, this part, I always thought that the the VHS tape was messed up, the way the film jitters. But I'm thinking that's just the film because the Blu-ray's like that as well. So like every version you watch is like that.
Who put out the Blu-ray of this?
I believe that Code Red put it out, but also 88 Films put it out. And if you want my honest opinion on it, some people might not, but I think that the transfer on the 88 Films release is slightly better.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Code Red sucks. Like, when it comes to transfers, I don't think there was a worse company. Maybe, well, I'll take that back. There might have been like Mill Creek or something.
Man, I forgot
What
that
in
big
the-
blowout in the
Yeah.
back. That was probably the best special effect there.
That was the whole movie, yeah.
And so, is he dead? He looks dead, but
Yeah, you know he's dead, Dana. Ain't no doubt about that.
now they're zooming in on his face too much. So
What kind of look were they going for with this kid?
and he loves Gretchen. He had to say love before he died
Yep.
because Gretchen was the only one that was nice to him when they were kids.
That's right.
She played checkers with him.
The Mayor, yes, and that's probably like one of my most sought after films that's come out in the last, like, probably last year. Like, I've been waiting on a new release of that movie. I think I was talking to Wes about it around the time that we did the Finding Argento shows and stuff. Because Shameless has that one Blu-ray out of it, and it really does. Like, all the other Argento movies have like 1,000 releases, but that one really doesn't have anything else.
So Darren says 1972 Home for the Holidays. That's the one I was talking about with Sally Field. It's very giallo like, a decent Christmas slasher that's worth a watch.
Yeah. Well, that was a really entertaining movie, though, in a way, because it's basically just like you said, Halloween with a slight twist where he's just bringing her shit, body parts all the time.
Darren says he needs to message Buddy Cooper to get me a poster. He seems to pull them out at will. That's what Steve did. Steve messaged him and was able to get me a poster, actually a Fall Break poster.
Yeah.
And Buddy Cooper signed it and everything. So
That's another dude, like I was saying, I'd love to have him on and do the same kind of thing. Or not Buddy Cooper, but somebody from the Mutilator film to have somebody on just to like do like the same thing we do with Paul Ehlers.
Well, the way that I contacted Bill Hitchcock was I think at the time that I contacted him, he was a realtor. Or he was something where he had a website. You could probably Google Bill Hitchcock.
Yeah.
You might be able to get him on. Because I mean he didn't give any resistance to doing an interview, and talking about the movie. And he was a really good interview. He
Man,
gave
that's
really
good.
good
Yeah.
answers.
Oh, look, there she is. Frida Valenzuela. Sorry.
Frida.
I was saying Fernando Valenzuela. I think he's a
That's
pitcher.
okay.
Production assistants on here. I can't believe they had PAs on this movie.
So, Uncle Bill, have you seen Blood Lake? I don't know if I asked you that.
No, I don't think I've seen Blood Lake.
That is got to be my all-time favorite shot-on-video horror movie. And I'll tell you, for one reason, Lil Tony. And if you don't know what that means, just go watch Blood Lake. You will know who Lil Tony is, and yeah, that kid is worth the price of admission to that movie.
I'll have to watch that though. I've never seen it.
You can get, or you could get, that American film genre archive, or whatever that AFGA is, or whatever. They put out a few movies here and there. I think they put it out on DVD. I can't find it on Blu-ray, so nobody must not want to put it out on Blu-ray. But
Well, I'm curious. This leads into a video called "The Most Blatant Halloween Ripoffs Ever."
oh God, yeah, there you go.
I'm curious because Steve went through all his stuff about the films, like the upcoming films that are coming out, and all the stuff for the sales. Like, what are you looking forward to, if anything, Dana? Like,
Well, see, again, I'm in this precarious position right now of negative cash flow, so. Uh,
aren't we
I didn't,
all?
yeah, but being without a job for a few weeks, and I thought that the former job, but they're assholes, and I've forgotten about them now. I'm free of them. Um, but I thought I was going to get paid for the 6 weeks of leave that they made me take. But it turned out it was unpaid leave. I found out like when it was time for a paycheck. I was like, okay, where's my money?
Mm-hmm.
So I was left in kind of a lurch there. And then I found out I could have been asking for unemployment all this
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm
Now,
waiting to see if I can get some money from unemployment. I did contact the unemployment office and filled out all the stuff that you got to fill out. But you got to there's a 13-day waiting period or some kind of stupid thing like that. But anyway.
so you're not gonna buy anything? I find that hard to believe, David. If we're being honest, I don't give a
Well,
shit if
I
you didn't
haven't
have the
even
job for like 6 months.
basically I haven't looked at anything just because, to be honest, I didn't want the temptation because I knew something was going to make me want to buy something.
I mean, honestly, there's not a whole hell of a lot, unless that vinegar syndrome blows people away with something. But like, really, like the Four Flies is probably the best thing that I've seen of any of it.
Hmm. Yeah, but don't tell Master Chaos that because he does not like it. But some of this stuff, and I'm not just talking about Master Chaos. I'm seeing this from a lot of people, like um, they buy all this stuff and then they get on camera and they show it off and stuff, and they say, "I don't even like this movie." And I bought 5 copies of it or
There,
something like
listen,
that. I was like,
and
what the heck?
I've been through the same thing on my rant video and everything, but like,
Yeah.
there's a whole new like genre of people that do these videos now,
Mhm.
and I could name like a couple of them, but I'm not going to. But anybody that watches them knows like all they do is they buy the films and they'll buy like multiple copies of the films and then they just put them somewhere
They put them on a
and
shelf somewhere. Look at my 10 copies of this movie that I
they
don't even
never
like.
have any intention of watching any of those movies. To me, that's just so like counter,
Well, and I'm not going to mention names either, but some of these people I've seen, Steve has told me like that they've got their own side business or something, doing making a product and they're making a lot of money off of it. I said, you can always tell these people that are making so much money they don't know what to do with it. I've never been in that position. I've never made so much money I didn't know what to do with it. I was always just kind of scraping by, so
Well,
I
they
don't know
must.
what
I don't
that
know what the
is.
hell they're doing to be able to afford like buying the kind of stuff that they do. But you know,
Well,
number
either
one,
they're doing that or they're just seriously in debt, in credit card debt. And I don't ever want to get in that position
I
either.
just
Yeah.
think it's tacky as hell anyway, just to do shit like that, just to be doing it, and really like. If I'm being honest, it just shows a complete lack of any kind of personality. Like if that's all you can do is buy shit and then show it
Mhm.
off, like then you really don't.
I
There's
don't
nothing
think
going on up there.
I don't think that shows that you have a passion for film of any kind. It's just like, look at all the stuff that I bought and you can't buy. Ha ha, look, here it is.
I just think that they're. I don't even know if it's they're trying to do that as much as they're just like that's just something that gets them attention. I'll put it that way. I'm
Well, it
not a
gets
fan.
attention from me, but it's a bad attention.
I'm not a fan of that kind of shit on YouTube. I
Uh-uh.
think anybody that knows me or knows that. But yeah,
I mean, I feel like the people that come into my streams and that come into your guys' streams, for the most part, there's a few here and there that maybe don't, but most of the regulars, they have a passion for films. They know what they like, they know what they don't like, and they can explain this stuff to you if you ask them. I bet some of these people that are buying 10 copies of a movie they don't even like, if you said, tell me 5 good things about this movie that you've just seen, I bet they can't do it.
they haven't seen half those fucking movies. It's like
Mm.
people that wear the band shirts of bands they've never heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just to be, it's the same type of thing. Anyway, I don't want to get a rant because I know like a lot of people that do like basically make a living doing shit like that. Uh,
Mm.
but to me, it's stupid. I just want you to know that it's really stupid.
We're not naming names, but that's stupid. We need Sarah on here to say that's stupid.
That's
She
right.
would she would do it for us too. I need to say, Sarah, can I record you saying that's stupid so I can put it in my
That's kind of like her
stream?
catchphrase now, yeah.
And I love Sarah to death. I don't want anybody to think I don't like her, but I can't help but laugh every time she says that. Because when we all went to see, well, you didn't get to go see, but we went to see Phantasm that time, that screening of Phantasm. And the first thing Sarah said when we came out there was, that movie was stupid.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just started laughing. I said, well, I said, Sarah, it's an acquired taste, you know. I said, we're all goofy. Because we were going on about, oh, I love Phantasm. And she was looking at us like we had put our clothes on.
I
So,
just think that like the thing we don't take into consideration is that we're in like another world almost in terms of like the kind of stuff that we like, and most normal like everyday people are not like they just don't like shit like that.
oh, no, 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 no. And, people like you've even told me that I take deep dives into certain, like, certain years that I talk about certain movies and stuff like that. I think you told me one time when I was talking about maybe that movie Lisa that was on TV years and years ago.
Yeah,
But you said, Dana, you're taking a deep dive right there, because a lot of times I bring up movies and people are like, what movie is that? I never heard of that movie. But I always take
well,
it as
there's
I'm introducing them to a movie that they
yeah,
might like.
there's so much stuff though, especially from the '80s. It's just like
Mhm.
unknown, like that didn't really get any kind of release, and like it's still. Well, I mean, Vinegar Syndrome still pulling shit out their ass that people like don't really even know what it is and putting it out. You know.
And I'm so disappointed that I try to introduce Steve to this stuff, and a lot of it, he's like, Dana, like there was a movie, I've talked about this movie before. It was a lot scarier when I was growing up, but it was a movie called Don't Go to Sleep. And
I've
it
never seen
came
it.
out, I believe it originally came out in 1982, but I know I would have been too young to see it in 1982, so I probably caught it when it was in syndication, when they were like re-showing it years later. Because I don't think I saw it until I was maybe 11 or so. So I remember that movie being so scary when I was a kid. Now it's not so scary, but still, I think it's a good made for TV movie. Have you ever seen Don't Go to Sleep?
No.
It's the basic story of it is there was a car accident that killed the older sister in this group of three kids. The father had been drinking, and the story comes together over time, so I'm not going to tell all of it. But the older sister was killed, and the middle daughter had a lot of trouble dealing with the death of her older sister. And then they had a younger brother who's the boy off of Poltergeist, the
Oh
brother
yeah,
on
Oliver or
Poltergeist.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So he plays their younger brother. So he just acts like your regular obnoxious little brother. But Mary, the middle girl, is having a really tough time, and she's still having a tough time dealing with her sister's death. And we find out kind of why as it moves along, but I don't want to give too much away. But Mary starts hearing voices. She's scared in her bedroom. They have moved to a new house and all that. And we start to hear it after a while. We hear Mary, and when you're a kid, that kind of stuff is scary. She
Super
figures,
creepy. Yeah.
yeah, she figures out it's coming from under her bed, and so she gets up the courage and she gets under her bed and she says, "Okay, kill me," because she don't know what this is, and she looks, and it's her dead sister under the bed, and her dead sister starts, coming to her at all points and times in the movie and telling her, this person in the family never liked me. We've got to get rid of them. So it's setting up a thing where certain members of the family start dying off. Grandma has a heart attack and dies. But you see somebody put the younger brother's iguana in her bed, and that's what causes her to
Uh,
have the heart attack.
yeah.
Um, at one point in time, before Mary sees her dead sister, her bed catches on fire, and the parents have to come there and put it out and all that. Somebody gets electrocuted, somebody gets knocked off the roof, just on and on and on, and it just gets creepier and creepier as the movie goes along. And it has a really good, I think, creepy shot at the end, but I'm not going to give it away. But I will say you will never look at a pizza cutter the same way ever again after
Well,
you.
somebody mentioned that on here. That sounds like something I probably have to look up. Yeah.
Yeah, Darren evidently has seen it. He said that pizza cutting scene always got to him, and it did to me either. He says it's probably never going to get a physical release. Print looks awful, but it's on YouTube. Yeah, if anybody wants to go see it on YouTube, it's not going to look the greatest, but at least you get to watch it. Um, but yeah, that's a movie that I remember from my youth, but a lot of people don't talk about that movie, and I don't think a lot of people have seen it.
There's a lot of them like that too, though. That most nowadays, though, most of the ones that I remember, like that were kind of underground for a while, have been put out by somebody. like which
Mm-hmm.
is Severin and Vinegar Syndrome and like all these labels now that like all the ones you can almost think of, with the exceptions of ones they can't get rights to just for some reason like Trick or Treat or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's so many movies that came out now through all these labels that
I want my damn uh Terror on Tour. I mean, when am I going to get a Blu-ray of that at
hopefully
least?
never.
Come on. Did I
uh,
ever tell you that? Did I ever tell you when I did a video a long time ago talking about Terror on Tour, and then Wes did that like counter video? I think he talked about it on Creepy's crappy movie reviews.
yeah, he really hates the fact that you like that movie. I just want you to know.
I know he does. But did I ever tell you that this guy commented under my video, and he claims to be the drummer in the band on the movie, and he was really excited that that I like the movie, and the other guy that really can't understand why I like the movie, because he thinks his performance is just awful in it, is the guy that played the soup Nazi, but he was the band's manager on Terror on Tour. I interviewed him for the fanzine, maybe in the same issue that I interviewed Bill Hitchcock. And he was like, "I'm glad you liked the movie," but he was like, he said, "I was really nervous when I was in that movie." And like, he said, "You can just tell that." And he said, like, the scene where he was talking to the theater manager and he was talking really loud, he said that he was told that there would be loud music playing in that scene. And he says, "So now when you
It
see that scene,
makes sense. Yeah.
I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, and like there's no
And they never add
music
any
going on."
music. Well, I mean, does Terror on Tour have like a cult following? I don't even know. Like, I know about it,
I
just,
I
but
don't think it does really, because I feel like I'm the only person on the planet that ever talks about this movie.
it has to, like, there has to be a small group of people that love that movie. There just has to
I
be.
wish I could find
But
them.
it's like, to me, it's like Final Exam or Cutting Class or shit like that. Like, I mean, those movies probably have a small following too, but I've always just thought that they were just the shits.
Now, see, I don't know. I never could understand why you and Wes hated Final Exam so much because, okay, one of the things that was mentioned, I don't know if you and Wes mentioned this, but I've heard other people mention it, is they don't like the fact that the killer had no motive. But doesn't that make it scarier that the killer had no motive?
Just to me, it's just the fact it's just some random fucking dude that you don't have any kind of like setup for or anything like that. But more so than that, really, it's like both those movies, Cutting Class and Final Exam, to me are both incredibly boring. Like they periods of time go on where nothing happens and people are just talking and it's just very kind of slow.
I don't know if I can make this same claim for Cutting Class, but with Final Exam, I don't like this in every movie, and I've said this before. But every once in a while, I like to get to know the characters. I thought it was fun to follow the characters around in Final Exam and get to meet Courtney and get to meet Radish. I thought Radish was a cool ass dude. He was supposed to be the nerdy dude. But did you see the posters he had on his wall in his dorm room? I mean, he had horror movie posters in there. He was always talking about serial killers and all that stuff. And he just seemed like a really interesting character. And I don't think they gave him enough to do in that movie, actually.
No, so he was like the Chainsaw and Dave before they were Chainsaw and
Well,
Dave.
if you want to look at it a different way, he was Randy before there was a Randy in
Yeah, that's
Scream,
right.
you know. And now everybody thinks those characters are cool. The characters that know everything. That
Nobody thinks anything in Final Exam is cool, Dana. Sorry.
I do. And what about Wild Man in Final Exam? Is he not
What the
wacky?
fuck?
Like Wild Man's always doing some crazy shit, but that is a movie that would never get made now. And it would not
No.
get made because of that scene near the beginning of it where they pull that prank and it looks like they shoot a bunch of students outside
Yep.
the
Yeah,
college.
you're right. That
That
would
would
never
not
happen
get
now.
made now because I'll tell you, my mom, this was before all those mass school shootings got amped up. My mom came walking through the living room one time when I was watching Final Exam, and she saw that part. She said, "Oh my God, Dana, what are you watching?" Because she was seeing it, what looked like these people were all getting mowed down on the campus lawn,
Yep.
And I said, "Oh, I'm watching Final Exam." Well, why are they killing all those people? I was like, I
Do
don't know.
you?
I don't think they're killing them. It's a
There's another movie too that like to this day I kind of still think about like how it's such a product of its time because it would never ever get made now. Do you remember a movie Class of 1999, which was about like these cyborg teachers that they put in?
Didn't they
Uh,
have Bradley Gregg on it from Nightmare on Elm Street 3?
I remember it had Patrick Kincaid in
Mm,
it, who was from he was in like Toxic Avenger and fucking
no.
he's been in a lot of like small parts in horror films. He was in that movie I think with Blue Diamond Phillips' First Power.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I love that movie, by the way.
anyway, that movie is crazy because it's about teachers that kill all the students and stuff.
Yeah,
Like they would never be able to do that now. I think they blow up the school in it and everything.
yeah. The
Uh,
mayor says he remembers Class of 1999.
yeah, it's
Uh,
a. I love that movie. That's one of the ones that I watched on HBO like 1,000 times back in that time period.
oh, I forgot Stacy Keach is in Class of 1999.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
Pam
Pam
Grier was
Grier.
a teacher in it. Yeah,
TJ is like, I call TJ the resident trivia guy
yeah,
because he knows more trivia than I do. Um, if I forget something, TJ always remembers it. But yeah, oh my gosh, I we could have a instead of a battle of the bands, we could have a battle of the films type thing, and just go back and forth on films. We should do that sometime.
that's
Get
true.
Wes in on it too, and
East Side Motel, he thought that was like what high school was going to be like. No,
oh Lord,
not like that.
it was pretty sucky for me, but I mean it wasn't that bad. I don't ever want to go back to high school. I hated high school.
Oh, I had all right time in high school. I don't know. It wasn't horrible.
I mean, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't like it was for Carrie or or on Trick or Treat or anything like that. I wasn't hiding under the stairwell so people wouldn't pick on me
Right.
or anything like that. But I just didn't. I don't know. It wasn't hell on earth or anything, but it was just not fun. I just I was so shy back then. Like I said, people probably look at me now and it's like, when were you ever shy, Dana? Because I just talk 100 mile an hour all the time now. And you can always tell when I haven't had anybody to talk to for a while because I'm just overflowing with things to talk about. That's why I like these streams so well, and why I like to have somebody on the streams with me because it just gives me somebody to bounce things off of. But
Yeah, it's always a cool format to do these like that. And I love the fact that in StreamYard you can just do them like with whoever, whenever. There's not really a lot of prep or anything you have to do. Just add
no,
people to the stream.
no, I think
I,
that's what Dirk brought up kind of one night when he was on the Thou Shalt Not Kill watch along with me. He had just come out of the woods from hunting, from deer hunting, and like he was still in his camo and
yeah,
everything. But I was talking about how good he did with the when he's on there with Pop and those other guys doing those streams. I said, you do really good. He said, well, that's all StreamYard. That's all StreamYard stuff. I don't really do a lot with it. And I'm not sure if Uncle Bill froze. I think Uncle Bill froze. He's just I don't know. We may have lost Uncle Bill. Let's see what Darren, you say Alice Sweet Alice is another that would. Well, now Uncle Bill's kind of moving. I don't know if it's internet or what. But Darren, you say Alice Sweet Alice is another that would never get made today. Child killer and that creepy Alfonso character. Definitely, Darren. That is another one that wouldn't get made. Red, you say, what are the best made for TV films? I think Duel, White Line Fever, or It miniseries. I really like Duel, Red. I don't think I've ever seen White Line Fever. I always have a special place in my heart for the It miniseries. Yes, Mayor, there is a Class of 1984 movie. It's a really, really good movie. It does have a very young Michael J. Fox in it, and I did just lose Uncle Bill. I don't know. Hopefully, Uncle Bill will be back here. Uncle Rad is messing with Uncle Bill's internet. Maybe so. He may come back and it'll be Uncle Rad and not Uncle Bill. So, I mean, I could. I think just in case Uncle Bill wants to come back and he needs this link again, I'm going to put it. So, Uncle Bill, if you can hear me and you want to come back and you need that link again, I put it back in the chat. But guys, I don't know for sure if Uncle Bill's going to come back, but I do have to step away for just a second and run to the restroom. So if you guys see Uncle Bill in the chat, just let him know I'll be right back. Well, you know what, guys? I'm not sure Uncle Bill is going to come back. So I'll probably try to stay on here till around 10ish, and hang out with you guys. And if Uncle Bill does show back up, I'll add him back. But Darren, you say you all ready for the Blood and Black Lace podcast tomorrow? Yes, I am. Actually, me and Steve rewatched Blood and Black Lace today in order to get ready for this. Hey, I think Uncle Bill's back. Okay, let me add him back here.
So I don't know what the hell happened. The internet just went out like for like a minute or two.
It's like you froze up and then you moved for half a second and then it just went away.
Listen, it could happen again. I don't know.
Well, I was telling everybody I try to stay on here till about 10ish and then probably call it a night. Okay. But if your internet flakes out, that's okay.
But anyway, I was getting ready to say, I don't know where you're at on the comments or anything right now, but
Well, Darren was just asking about the Blood and Black Lace Eurocult show we're
Oh
doing,
yeah.
which I'm ready for it, but I'm gonna warn you guys. I'm gonna warn you, Darren. I know Dirk's not in here tonight, but I'm gonna warn you that I don't know. I didn't hate Blood and Black Lace, but I don't know. I'll talk about it more tomorrow. I don't want to spoil it for the podcast, but
You know what I'm
um,
fascinated with though, honestly, Dana?
what's that?
Are these like time periods of the subgenres of horror films that caught on for like a real brief period of time and then just kind of like fizzled out? And
Um,
to give you an example of what I'm talking about, like that time period where they were putting cyborgs in every like horror film and stuff like that, and then there's like the backwoods slasher phase that went on there
yeah,
for a while, and there's all these like brief periods, and sometimes they got really really specific with the what it was about the film that caught on for whatever reason. But I
mhm,
love going back and like looking at that kind of stuff, like there was those trends that went on all throughout like the 80s and 90s,
yeah,
and like certain types of film, like for instance too, right when the internet came out, you had that whole craze of films that was like virtuosity
yeah.
and brain scan and shit like that, and what was the other one too that was like it was kind of like 976 Evil, but it was about the internet, but there was all kinds of
Oh
films like
yeah.
that were.
Well, wasn't am I wrong, or was that movie The Faculty? Was that about cyborg teachers,
No, that was about like teachers that got like
or was it
it,
aliens or
yeah, it
something?
was like alien like creatures that infected them. Yeah,
Um, TJ brought up. He says, "I haven't seen this." He says there's an interesting 1977 TV movie, The Possessed, with a pre Han Solo Harrison Ford. Not bad. Now I haven't seen that, but when he said The Possessed, it reminded me of a TV movie that I watched a long time ago, and this is going to be a deep dive probably too, called This House Possessed. And it's about a
sounds like
set.
an Eli Roth show that's right now.
Well, uh, what happens is I believe the guy's a rock singer, and he basically has a nervous breakdown, and the doctor suggests that he go take a sabbatical from doing shows and stuff, and they're going to get him this house to stay in, and he's just going to do nothing but relax for a period of time. So um, I forget how he gets introduced to this woman, but they kind of start I guess you'd call it a romantic relationship as much as they can do in a TV movie. But so strange things start to happen in this house. This house is evidently completely automated, and we're talking about back in the 80s. So it probably seems sort of hokey to people now if they watch it. Oh, yeah, that's an automated house. What are you talking about? We've got echo devices and everything else,
Yeah,
you know, but that's what this house was built. It was built to, set the heating, set the lighting, set the water temperature. All those things are supposed to be all completely automated. So you at first think the house is wanting this rock singer, but it turns out the house wants the woman. And anybody that gets in the way of this woman coming to this house and staying for any length of time, they will do terrible things to them. Like there's another woman that wants to get with the rock star, and she's taking a shower in the house, and I think she gets scalded in the shower because the house turns up the heat really high in the shower. And there's all kinds of different things that happen.
what was the other movie where that happened too? Where
Um,
like they were in a house and like the water temperature got turned up really high. and it was the house fucker. There's another movie that had that same gag in it. I can't think of what it was.
Yeah. Trying to think though, and I can't.
I don't know, but anyway, sounds like another movie I would probably watch too.
See, and TJ knows this house possessed. He says this house possessed has Joan Bennett from Suspiria in it. So yeah, but that was another movie that was quite creepy when I was a kid watching it. Not so much now, but I still like to watch it from time to time. Um, I mean, I don't think this is giving any big reveal away from this movie. It's not going to take anything away from the movie. It turns out was the woman lived in this house as a little girl, and then her family left. I think maybe her father was the architect that put the plans in place for them to build this house this way. And then they moved away, and the house was obsessed with her and wanted her back.
The
So,
old obsessed house routine. Yeah.
but people probably think, oh, that just sounds hokey, Dana. But I encourage you to watch it if you've never watched it before. You can probably find it on YouTube as well, on bet. And um, most of these made for TV movies you can find.
Okay, well, I'm curious though because we haven't talked about this yet though. What would you pick as like your one of your favorite recent films that's come out?
Favorite recent films. Well, I guess it would probably have to be something like X or Pearl, or one of those, just because they really tried to do something. I think Ty West was really trying to do something different. He wasn't It didn't seem like he was trying to do what everybody else was doing.
No, that
And
guy. Ever since I saw House of the Devil, I knew that guy was gifted in at least in horror films for sure.
I mean, I don't know. Some people might say something like Nope or something like that, but I just can't. I don't know. I didn't hate Nope. I hated Us. I thought Us was just the stupidest piece of crap I've ever seen, and maybe I'm just not smart enough to to get what that movie's
I
trying
haven't
to
gotten all the way through Nope yet, by the way. Like I
say.
started watching it. I got about 30, 45 minutes into it, and I was just like, I just don't
Did
give
you
a
see
shit.
the monkey scene yet?
No, huh?
Okay, I won't. I won't give anything away.
No, I just got to the part where they were setting up all the cameras and stuff outside and all that.
Oh, okay,
That's as far as I
gotcha.
got into the movie. I don't know. At this point, like I've watched so much stuff, you really got to try to like capture my attention.
Hmm.
That
And
movie.
when I talk about Jordan Peele stuff, I have to walk a really straight line with this, because years ago we wouldn't have had to worry about this, but now if you say something about Jordan Peele that you don't really care for his stuff, if you say that to the wrong person, they're going to say you're racist. I'm
It's
not
clear.
racist.
It's clear to me that you're racist, though, Dane. I think everybody knows that.
But that's how some people take things now. They want to get butt hurt because you don't. I like plenty of black actors and actresses and directors and what have you. I just don't. It doesn't have anything to do with Jordan Peele being black. If he was, I don't care if he's got purple polka dots all over him. I just don't care for a lot of his work. But and I don't, I talked about this too before, and you got to be real careful about saying this stuff too, is I don't understand the having to remake everything on God's green earth and replace white actors with black actors. You don't see, as I equivocated this to, what if they remade Beverly Hills Cop and they replaced Eddie Murphy's character with a white guy? It wouldn't work, would it?
Well, the only point that I see that is really getting out of hand, and it is getting out of hand, is just that they're putting people in these roles just for the sake of putting them in the role. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like it doesn't make
exactly,
any
exactly.
doesn't have any bearing to do with like the story or who would be like, you know, in the film or what. It's just to be doing it because everything has to be done that way now.
Hmm.
And it's really super annoying because like none of it really makes any sense.
Mm.
Other than that everybody's gotten to a point where they're just like, all right, we have to have the Asian character, we got to
Yeah.
have the African American, we got to have the the white guy. It's like, and it's like they go down this list of shit that they have to
Somebody
have
else
just to
mentioned that they got a checklist and they're just
yeah.
checking everything off. And
And
then
it's so obvious, like, and everybody that watches these movies is like, they know what's going on, and I don't think anybody ever is really like, is like, oh, this seems natural that like, these people are hanging out like that. Just shit just doesn't
well,
fly.
you know, you brought up that new Hellraiser movie, and here's something else that bothers me. And I'm not anti-gay. I'm not homophobic. I'm
I
not
feel like you are, Dana.
transphobic. I'm not any of those things.
I feel like
I
you
have
are.
gay friends and I love them just like I love any of my friends. It doesn't make any difference. But why on earth are we having to fill movies and television shows and everything to capacity with gay, trans, bi, whatever? Like if the character has something to do, it's kind of like the racial thing. If the gay character has something to do in the film, something to move the plot along, then by all means put them in there. But don't stuff a movie or a television show full of them and then just move them around like little chess pieces, and it's obvious that you've just stuck them in there for, to say, "Oh, look, we love gay people, we love trans people, we love bi people, so we're putting them all in our movie and our television shows."
I honestly think that what they're doing now is kind of just as silly as like what they were doing before. In other words, like by just never having those characters in films is just as silly as like always having those characters in
Yeah,
films. It's
yeah,
like it's not that way. It has to in some way or another in a movie make sense to what's going on in the movie.
yeah.
Like just like and they're just shoehorning all this shit into these movies nowadays that
Well,
it seems really really forced.
it's almost like shock value too, because like, I mean, it didn't shock me, but I could see where it would shock some people that are not used to seeing that type of stuff, like my parents, for example, my mom especially. When the first time I saw those boys kiss on the Child's Play show.
I've never seen that show, so I don't know
Oh,
what.
okay.
Yeah,
So there is at least one scene where they actually kiss, probably more than one. But, it's almost like we're going to push it up in your face and look at these two young boys kissing. We could know they're gay without having them kiss. I mean, it was obvious that they were gay. I mean, they had a relationship and stuff like that, but you don't have to keep like overdoing it. I wouldn't want them to overdo it with straight people. You know what I mean? It's like I don't need to see straight people kissing every 5 seconds.
yeah, you do, Dana. Come on.
I don't need that. So why do we need to do that with any other characters, whether they're
I just want the films to make sense in terms of like that they're being cast in a way that's realistic. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? In
Yeah,
some way or another, and going back and looking at the way that films were cast in like the 60s and 70s, maybe in the 70s they were a little bit more realistically cast, honestly, but like in the 50s and 60s, then I'll say that to me is like as unrealistic as what they're doing nowadays. Like they're just
yeah,
like I said, putting these people in these roles for no other reason than because that's kind of what they want to do. And they think that everybody wants them to do that, and that they're not good people if they don't do it. That's the running gag. Like you have to apologize for everything now that any kind of opinion that you have because you have to be a good person. You
Yeah.
know, like it's just like people are not good. All they're just not. They're just
Some,
inherently both.
something else I don't like. I'm trying to remember what the name of the movie was. It was so awful. I can't even remember the title of the movie. But me and Steve both did not like it, and it was directed by a woman. And I'm not saying a woman can't direct a good film, but it was that movie about every night this woman would see a guy break into her house and she would kill him every time, and then the next night he'd be back again. And all I could think of was it was one of those movies where they were trying to tell women all men are evil, all men will fuck you over eventually, you know. So it
They
was
ain't
just
wrong.
but you know what I'm saying. I don't want a movie to have an agenda. I want to have entertainment. I don't want these films telling me how I'm supposed to feel or anything. I just want to sit down and have a good time with a horror movie. I don't want to watch.
Maybe that's it. Like it's the idea of like you can see what the agenda is. You know what I mean? In a lot of these movies, and whenever anybody has a preset agenda like that for a movie, it just turns me off. Like automatically, just turns me when you know that like there's no other purpose for this shit than just like because that's the narrative that they wanted to push, and like
Mm,
that really just gets under my skin. It's like the movie should be free from all that horse shit. Like you
right.
should that should not be the driving force of the reason why you make a movie.
Yeah.
Like or your choices in the movie. That should not be like the driving force. It should be based around the plot and what you want to do with the characters. But that's
Mm,
really not what it's based around anymore. It's based around like, just checking off these certain things. And
mm,
I tell you a perfect example of this, when I was watching Hocus Pocus 2 with the kids, and I was like, oh my god, they're doing the same shit like with this as they've done with all these other movies. Like everybody's represented in that movie, and it's like, who gives a shit? Like I
right.
don't think anybody's asking for that in Hocus Pocus. Like I really don't. But there it is. But anyway, Darren did ask a good question.
Yeah, yeah, I was looking at that.
Yeah,
What's both your genuine scary films that are effective even today? The Changeling and Don't Look Now come to mind for me. Those are great films. I would have to show or have to throw Exorcist in there too. And no, it's not because of the special effects. You could take out honestly, you could take out every special effect out of that movie. And some people might disagree with me, and that would still be a great, not only great horror movie, but just a great movie in general, just because of how well made that movie was, and still is. But yeah, I would definitely have to throw that one in there.
okay. So he means like movies that have never really kind of like lost their effect over time.
Against him.
Rosemary's Baby is the immediate one that like comes
Yeah.
to my mind. That movie is filmed so well and like so effectively, and like with the subject matter and everything that it's about, like it's never not creepy as hell. Like you can
I,
watch it at any point. Yeah.
I would throw Psycho in there too. And some people might disagree with me on that, but you got to look at, and I've said Psycho, although not perfect, I can't call any film perfect. But Psycho is one of those films that's as close to perfect film as you're going to get, because that was a very simple idea. I mean, you look at it, it's a simple idea. But the way Hitchcock sets up those scenes in there, and the way Anthony Perkins plays Norman Bates in there, it, it's just everything is just almost perfect. Not quite, but almost perfect. And I don't know how I could ever say that Psycho is not one of those effective films.
Yeah, I mean it is, and a lot of those shots in that film are just still studied today, and still people use like a lot of the things from it as well.
Hmm.
Trying to think of anything else like that's just kind of always timeless. um, and effective. Oh God, there's so many. Oddly enough, I still think to this day one of the very few movies that has not um, that the special effects have not like become kind of silly is the thing. I
Mm.
think that movie still to this day, and we're talking 40 years later, 42 years later, something like that, 41. Anyway, like it's still like those makeup effects still hold up, and it's still like a timeless
Hmm.
kind of story too.
I was thinking of another one, and people are probably going to get me for saying this about a remake, but I'm not going to say the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but I'm talking about the 1970s version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That
You're
movie
yeah,
still holds up.
you're right.
That,
Yeah,
that whole, the fear that something or someone is changing the people around you, and you're not sure if you're losing your mind or perceptions changing or something is really taking them over. Doesn't everybody have that fear that that'll either happen to them or happen to someone they love? I mean, and that's horrifying. That's a very simple but horrifying thing that I think is still effective now.
yeah, I do too. Like, and that's the ones that are usually the most effective. Is where it's like a simple idea, but it's really well executed. And Donald Sutherland's amazing in that movie too.
Oh
So,
my gosh. Yeah. And that final scene, I'm not
hmm
going to go into it in case somebody hasn't seen that remake, but that still sends chills up and down my spine every time I see it.
I'll tell you one too, Dana. Like, now that I think about it, that's as effective, if not more effective, now than it was when it was made. Is They Live,
Yeah,
because the cornerstone of
exactly.
that movie is just that that there are things going on that we don't see, and that there's this whole like other you know organization that's really running the world, and most people are blind to it, and then like they can sometimes some people eventually will see it, and that's as probably true and effective now, just the message behind that movie about
Hmm.
capitalism and things too, as it was then.
Yeah, and the encouraging people to buy things and to have sex and have babies and all that. Those were all things that you kind of start to wonder when you watch movies like that. Are we really being brainwashed to use certain products or do things a certain way? I'm not saying it's like an alien force, but the way advertising is, we're definitely being pushed to use certain types of products.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing.
And
Like,
that's creepy. I mean, if you think about it, it's very, very creepy that, and I hate to bring up politics, but they live makes me think, they live makes me think about the whole Trump thing. Have you, s- have you really paid attention to those people that are really so into
uh,
Trump that, like, you've probably studied a lot on cults and stuff, and I have too. So, or researched into it. But I'm seeing the same look on these people's faces. I'm talking about hardcore Trump fans. I'm not just talking about, a casual, they liked him for like 5 seconds. I'm talking about the people that are still talking about, he was meant to be president. He's the second coming. He's this and that. I get scared when I watch those people because the same glazed look is in their eyes as I remember seeing. Like if you watch old stuff where people were in like Jim Jones' cult, and you could obviously tell they were brainwashed. Charles Manson's cult, you could obviously tell they were both brainwashed and drugged out of their mind. And you get the same look on these people's faces now when they're talking about Trump. It's just there's nobody home. And I'm like, what's next? They've already invaded the Capitol. What are they going to do next? I've never seen anything like that in my lifetime.
Listen, Dana, you get way too controversial now. I don't know what's going on. You bringing up all kinds of shit.
Well, I couldn't help but think about that because Steve's been watching a lot of Trump related stuff and QAnon kind of stuff, and I get scared watching those people.
I feel like that if I really said everything that I wanted to say about all that, that it would probably piss a lot of people off. So I'm just going to not do that because, like,
I could go a lot further, but I'm not going to
uh,
because, I've gotten in fights with my mom and stuff over this. And then I decided life's too short to get in fights with your family and your friends and all this stuff. So
I
I'm
will
just,
say this: the level of whatever you want to say, like, what's the word? It's not enthusiasm. That's not the right word, but the level of like connection that people around where I live feel towards Trump
mhm.
uh, is like unlike anything I've ever seen before, and I'm not entirely sure why that is at this point.
Mhm.
But it is kind of scary, like the that kind of whatever that is I've never seen it in any with any other politician, and uh,
Don't you feel like it's like cult behavior
I
or a
hesitate to.
cult mentality? Well, maybe I'm thinking of it in the wrong terms, but
I think that for whatever reason, Dana, they see something in him that they see in themselves, and they just more so than any other politician that's come along in maybe the last 50 years. Uh, so whatever that is, God bless them. Uh, I don't know what else to say about it because I know like it's probably about 90. I'd say 90 to 95% red around here where I'm at,
mm,
and I don't know what it is in Louisville. Is it more like
I
Democratic in
think
Louisville?
it's more Democrats in Louisville, but back home in Hancock County, I think it's mostly red. You know,
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. We'll see
it
what
just
happens.
it scares the shit out of me every time I watch some. And it scares me to hear my own family talk. My dad, he keeps quiet about it, but my mom's a little more vocal.
Yeah,
My mom even told me she hoped that Trump's son got to be president. And I was like, "Oh, please, mom, don't even go there." I don't even want to think about that. I don't argue with her over it anymore, but I just,
there ain't no reason to argue with anybody about anything related to
because you
politics.
will never win. But my dad, he just plays it safe, and he doesn't talk anything about politics with me or my brother. Because mom says, "You young people, I can be 70 years old, and if my mom was still living, she would still be calling me a young person." She said, "You young people, y'all all want to, just be liberal and have these ideas, and everything's
Liberal.
okay." You know, she says, "Everything's okay with you guys. Nothing bothers you." And I'm like, if they're not out there killing people and wanting to do all these awful things, then no. Somebody being gay has absolutely zero effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
And she just said, I can't stand it because so and so's gay. And I'm like, how does that affect you? How does that affect your day to day life? And I just can't figure it out.
Well, I think there's so much, Dana. So much I could say. This ain't fucking C-SPAN though. I mean, this is it's something.
I need a whole different channel just to
Yeah,
listen
just
to
go
all
off on this
political.
shit.
Yeah, I could get us in a lot of trouble. We'll get
I don't.
pulled off.
I,
I'll get pulled off of YouTube for being too political or something.
I honestly 100% believe though that like nothing that anybody says really like has any kind of impact on people that are that entrenched in those mindsets,
No.
whether it be Democratic or Republican. Like it just doesn't, because there's far left as much as there is far right, and like
Hmm.
it don't matter what you say. Like they're gonna keep those stances on all that stuff.
I mean, Steve's mom's the same way. It's like Steve has gotten in screaming matches with her over the phone. And I'm like, just let it go, Steve. I stopped talking to my mom for 2 weeks. 2 weeks
Oh God.
after Trump lost that last election because she was going on about how she felt sorry for him. I feel sorry for Trump. I said, why?
You know,
Why do you feel sorry for him?
oh, shit. You know what's weird though is with all this shit going on, have there really been that many movies like horror films, especially or any kind of movies that really like had anything to do with politics? Like you would think
I
they'd
think
make
people are
something.
probably scared to do that. I think they're probably scared of a backlash. All these, I don't want to necessarily say all Republicans, but the people that are really into Trump would probably just go batshit.
I guess it's like with as much as they, like people in Hollywood hate him and stuff like that. I would think that there'd be
Mhm.
all these movies that would be kind of parodying it, but there's really not like a
No.
lot that I can think of like that. So I don't know what the deal is,
Mhm.
but
But
horror
yeah,
films. I thought this was a good year for horror films, though. I mean,
yeah, I think
overall,
it's they're starting to kind of pick themselves up out of the mud puddle, so to speak. Things got pretty bad there for a little bit, and now it seems like they're trying to shake things up a little bit and have some new blood in there, some new ideas maybe. That's what my hope is. I'm hoping that we won't just sink right back down into the same mess we were.
I tell you though, what I think's going to happen, whether or not people like it or not, is that Terrifier 2 pretty much changed the game. I think that you're going to see a shit ton of movies that are going to be like that in the
Hmm.
next year.
Extreme gore.
Extreme gore. Yeah, you'll see a lot of movies like that are going to be using that same kind of that same framework. And
Well, as long as it doesn't go into the era that we call affectionately called the torture porn.
I think it's going to go more into the era of what would be like category 3. I
Mm.
think that that's where shit's going to go. Like it's going to get to that point.
But you know what's odd? Steve likes watching some of those cat
Oh, I know. I
movies,
know that.
but he did,
Steve's got a lot of issues that are unresolved. I feel like.
but he didn't care for Terrifier 2. He said Terrifier 2 was too much. But you got a Cat 3 movie where they're killing kids and, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
doing all this
yeah.
stuff.
Listen, no, Steve's a walking contradiction in a lot of ways about shit that. Yeah,
Well, yeah, he's a walking contradiction in things other than movies, too, but I won't go into that on here.
Steve's like, yeah. What was he doing that one day? Where he's like, I don't like Terrifier 2, but then he ordered some movie and it was like something god off. I can't remember what it was, but I just thought that was the funniest shit. It
Well,
was on one of his streams.
when you're a person that watches Raped by an Angel and all this
Right,
stuff,
right. That's not a real movie, is it?
yes, it is. And Rape Man, and they get enjoyment out of something like that.
Oh
I
my
tend to
god,
worry about them just a little.
that's so great.
But then, yeah, Terrifier 2 was too much. But I'm going to watch Rape Man or Rape
Yeah,
by an Angel or, you know. And he doesn't even like, he'll watch stuff like that, but he doesn't want to watch, like, I'm talking about the original I Spit on Your Grave and stuff like that. And his joke is that he doesn't like to watch them with me. I said, "What? You think I'm gonna cut your wang doodle off or something because I get mad at you because I watched this movie?" It's like they gang raped her in this movie for over 20 minutes. I think they deserved everything they got within that movie. I mean, that's a whole different setup. But he
That's
just
another that's another example of what I was talking about too. That's another subgenre that caught on for a brief period of time too, like Last
rape,
House and
rape revenge.
yeah, the rape revenge kind of yeah. So I'd love to do like kind of what Joe Bob does and go back and look at like what exactly inspired all these movies that came out in these little pockets, you know.
Oh, TJ's asking about Smile. TJ, I did see Smile. I don't know if Uncle Bill has.
That's the last one I need to watch. That one I've got it in my
Smile
queue to watch. Yeah.
Smile was good, but Steve gets on me about saying this, and I'm not going to give away the ending for people that haven't seen it. But I liked that movie all until the ending, and then I was like, "Damn it, they did it again. They did not give me an ending." And I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. And Steve said, "Yeah, they did." But unfortunately, I can't explain it all to you because I don't want to, spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it. But I don't have to have all loose ends tied up. I don't have to have this neat little present with a nice little bow handed to me at the end. But give me a damn ending. I did not feel like this movie had an ending.
That's something that's seriously lacking in a lot of these modern kind of horror films too. Is like any
Yep.
kind of ending that's actually satisfying. Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly right. It maybe had an ending in some sense, but it was not a satisfying ending.
yeah.
And I told Steve that's the biggest cop out that I've ever seen. That's lazy filmmaking, is what that is. And he's like, I don't get you, Dana. You just don't like anything. I said, I liked that movie on up until it got to the end. And you don't give me an ending, it's going to piss me off. I've been wrapped up in this movie for hour and a half, hour and 45
Yeah,
minutes, and you can't even give me a decent ending to this.
I'm trying to think of like what the last movie was that had like a really good ending. And honestly, like I mean, as much as I loved Pearl and Terrifier 2, the endings were just. I think the ending of Pearl with the long shot that goes on was great,
That
but it
makes
was
me nervous. It goes on so long.
yeah. But I mean, not a lot of movies that I can think of where the ending really like blew me away or anything like that. This past year, anyway.
So Darren says, get ready for the sequel. Smile made some serious box office. Well, I
Yeah.
guarantee there's going to be a sequel to it, but I hope they take a lesson from that and like give this one a damn ending. The sequel, give it a damn ending.
Me too.
But I'm seeing Uncle Bill start to stretch his arms, which probably means he's getting tired.
I'm an old man, Dana. I can't do this shit no more.
Hey, you ain't as old as I am. I'm 46. How old are you now?
I'm 42.
Well, see, you're just a baby. Just a baby.
Oh
I'm,
yeah, yeah.
I'm heading on to 50. Come on. 4 more years and I'll be 50.
That's insane to think about.
Oh, but I just, I promise, guys, I'm going to get off here. But I did say that I've said this to my mom several times. I said, Mom, is it wrong to feel like young in your head? Because a lot of times in my head, except when I'm having memory lapses, I still feel like I'm in my 20s. And I sometimes I have to really take a step back and, Dana, you're 46. You're not in your 20s anymore. And man, I feel it when I get down on the floor and then can't get back up very easily and stuff like that. I feel it. My body is definitely 46. But sometimes it's hard for me to get it right in my head, to wrap my head around the fact that I am 46. Do you feel it that way, Uncle Bill? Do you
Yeah, I
ever?
mean, I know that my body is like a lot worse off than my mind in terms of that. So yeah, it's like the stuff that I want to do, I'm not really able to do. You know what I mean? Like you still think that you're in your 20s until you try to drink or something like that, and it's like, no, this shit's not happening anymore. Um, but I don't really think about it that much though, like the age part about it or anything.
I
Like
think
I,
the older I get, the more I think about it, and I think about like you start thinking about missed opportunities and things like that. That, I wish I had done this and that. And like, you can probably hear my dog Sammy howling in the
Oh yeah, I was
background.
wondering like what? Yeah.
Yeah, he just starts howling all of a sudden sometimes. But like, I hate to bring up drinking and all that other stuff, but I was seriously a late bloomer, and I didn't start drinking on a regular basis. And this is nothing towards you and Wes at all, but I didn't start drinking on a regular basis until I started like hanging out after hours at conventions and stuff like that. And that was just like, that was party time. That was when everybody let loose and just got together and we all had a bunch of laughs. And I'm not saying it wasn't fun, but I was
Oh, it
kind of,
was fun for those
I,
people that were there. Like
I
it
was
was.
late to the game. Like I was in my early and middle 30s before I started doing all that stuff. And I look back and I should have been doing this stuff in my early 20s, you know, and now I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a drunk or anything, but now I catch myself sometimes having to say, Dana, ease up on the alcohol. You're not a youngin' anymore. You can't do this. Um,
Yeah. Every now and then I will try to drink something, and it's not the same. Like you just don't get the same effect at the age that I'm at now as you did like back in your 20s or
no,
30s.
all I do is get sick and throw up. I mean,
But we made a lot of money that time though, so that was.
well, enjoy that money or enjoy it while you could because it ain't never happening again. I've never been so sick in my life. Um,
That
I
a
thought I
lot
would
of those
die.
shows, a lot of those shows though, back in 2000s, late 2000s to 2010s. Um, yeah, that was the sickest that I've ever been. Like, just
When you had to go lay down in the car,
dude, like there were periods of time where like I was just the whole next day I was just messed up.
I
And
I
that was in
was
my early 30s, probably. Oh, ain't no damn way I could do it.
that after I pulled that stunt during the Champagne and Bullets
Oh yeah,
commentary or watch along. Ooh, I told Dirk I said, don't bother offering anybody any money for Dana to do shots because I'm never doing that again like that.
yeah.
Because I had been drinking Fireball whiskey for a little while at that point in time. And I don't know what possessed me. I got upset over something earlier, and it's never good to drink if you get upset over something. And I just was not paying attention. I just kept drinking shooter glass after shooter glass. These weren't even shots. These were shooter glasses. They were this size, and that's
Yeah.
not that's not a shot glass. But so, I felt good during the commentary. And then as soon as we shut things down for the night, things started to feel weird and the room started moving. And I was like, Steve, I don't feel well at all. And so I made my way to the couch and I tried to lay down. And it was like the couch was like doing this number. And I was like, oh God, make it stop, make it stop. And so
Like the Exorcist.
I couldn't walk upright. I was I was so wasted I could not walk upright. I was crawling from the couch to the bathroom to puke. And I did that 2 or 3 times during the night, and then I was supposed to go see my dad the next day. He was in Louisville, one of his rare appearances in Louisville. Him and my uncle were there for a sale, and I had planned this way in advance. Steve was gonna take me over to the expo center to see dad. I got up that morning and I wasn't feeling too great, but I thought I was going to be okay. I thought all the vomiting was behind me. And I called my mom to talk to her to ask her some stuff. And there was no way I was going to tell her that I'd gotten wasted the night before and was sick as a dog. And while I was talking to her, my stomach started to turn. And I was like,
Mm.
"Oh my gosh, I'm gonna throw up again." And I didn't. I said, "Mom," I said, "I'm gonna be sick." And I laid the phone down, went, and then I came back, and she said, "Well, Dana, what's wrong?" And I said, "I don't know. Maybe I got the stomach flu." And she thought I was pregnant.
Oh yeah.
And I told her what really happened. Like a week later, I got my courage to tell her, and she said, "Are you pregnant, Dana?" I said, "No, I'm not pregnant, Mom." I said, "I drank too much." She said, "Well, that was the other thing I was going to ask you." She said, "You know better than that." And that, of course, makes you feel this
I
little
think
one.
the only time where I got like really bad
Mm.
was when we had the absent.
See, I
And
missed out on that, and it's probably a good thing I did miss out on that.
yeah, that was one of those things, and this rarely ever happened to me, but like where it's just like I'm missing a whole like night. Like
Oh, shoot.
I was apparently walking around and doing things and talking to people, but like that none of that like exists in my head. Like I was
That's
completely
scary. That's a scary thought.
yeah, I was on autopilot that whole time. So it's like yeah, and I would never do that anything like that again. I didn't want to do anything like that again right after I did at that time. But
Well,
yeah,
Wes told me he was seeing halos around people when he
oh
does
man,
the ocean.
that stuff was just too strong. I don't know what the hell we were doing. Uh,
Well, I'm glad I missed out on that. I'm not. I feel bad that I didn't get to hang out with you guys that time, but I
yeah, it's probably for the best. I don't know if you would have survived that one.
probably not. They didn't cart me out on a stretcher or something because I can't even handle Fireball whiskey drinks. The other time I got sick was when Steve was doing a thing with you and Wes, and I was drinking in the background, and I was making my own screwdrivers, and I was putting like this much vodka and this much orange juice. You don't want to do that. And I
No,
got
that's
on
not the
my
move.
I got on my second one, and I was like, "Oh no, I don't feel good." You think I would have learned from that, but no. But really, no. I know that I'm too old for that. I can't do that again. I'm glad that you guys got some money, but I can't do that anymore.
No, me either. Those days are way behind me now.
But anyway, I think now that I've talked about my alcohol problems, then uh, I guess
Raging
I'm
alcoholic.
gonna get off of here for the night. But I do want to thank Uncle Bill for joining me tonight for this offerings watch along. See, I let you on here, didn't I?
Well,
Like
I
you
really
got on
enjoyed
me
it.
for not.
No, I mean I have not seen that movie like I said in forever and ever, and
Mm,
like it was great to see it again. And it's fun to do stuff like this. I would like to do it more often, but you won't ever fucking get me on here, Dana, because you're
mhm.
just that's just how you are. You fucking hoity-toity about everything now.
Yeah.
Just having your buddies on like Dirk and old Curly Jaws.
Hey, because they want to be on here. They
Well,
asked me, "Hey, can I be on?" Darren
uh,
asked if he can be on, and you know, hey, but you were gone. You didn't tell about your vacation.
oh, to
You better,
Disney.
yeah, you better tell about your vacation before we get off here.
Well, I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot to tell. I mean, there is, but it's like
Kids
I
probably
doubt
had a great time.
it was 7 days basically. The kids had a wonderful time. They had a great time, and we hit every park that Disney has. The drive down there almost killed my ass because I'm too old to be driving.
So
Like,
y'all didn't fly. You drove down
no, we
there.
didn't fly because there's a couple of kids that just absolutely would not fly,
Uh,
and I've flown down there before to Orlando and everything, and it's much easier to just fly.
mm,
So, but I drove 12 hours or how much ever. We broke it up into two segments, so at least it was manageable. Got down there, we did Magic Kingdom, then we did Epcot, then we went back to Magic Kingdom, then we did Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom,
mm.
and that place has changed a lot since. It's been 30 years almost since I've been there, by the way, and it's insane the kind of shit they do there now. I mean, everything's expensive as hell. Don't get me wrong, but if you
Yeah.
got the money, then I mean, they've got some of the most for a kid, some of the most insane kind of experiences that you can think of just to be able to do. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I recommend it
I've
if you
never,
got young kids.
I've never been to Disney. I've never been to Universal Studios. None of that. Now, I know Steve has been to Universal Studios like years and years ago, probably about the time he was in the army. So that's been a
You
long.
know, I went to Universal Studios when I was 13, I think, and even then, at that age, which would have been 1993 or something like that, um, I just I thought the Universal Studios rides looked way too fake, and they were like hokey kind of. You know, I don't know if it was just I was just hard to impress, but like we did Confrontation and the Jaws ride,
Hmm.
and
See, the Jaws ride was something I always would have wanted to be on, and never got that chance to do that.
it wasn't what
But
you're
it
thinking.
wasn't that
No,
great.
it's like no, it's really really like noticeably bad. Yeah, the way that it looks, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you would think it would be amazing, but it's really not that great. Um, and Earthquake, we did Earthquake. I remember that too. That
Mm.
was probably my favorite. And then the thing that's most memorable to me, and me and Garrett have talked about this too, was they had this Hitchcock
Mhm.
tribute kind of thing where, and I don't think they do it there anymore now. Where they showed you how they did the scene in Psycho with like a real actor and like
Uh-huh.
things like that, and then they had a 3D kind of birds demonstration
Oh, that's
movie kind of thing. And this is the thing about 3D is if something is made for 3D, meaning it's not being converted, to 3D later, it's actually made to be seen in 3D. It's a
mhm.
thousand times better, and that's the way the birds thing was. Like it really looked like shit was like coming out at you, and like I've never seen anything more realistic than that in 3D as
Right.
that. So that was cool. But like I don't even know what the hell's in Universal now. Like I have no idea.
Well, I think they're gonna have some new things, maybe I don't know what year exactly. They're supposed to have, aren't they supposed to have like the Universal Monsters or something? And they're gonna be something coming up like that there. I was thinking Steve was talking about that.
I don't know. I hadn't heard that, but maybe. I mean, they do the Halloween Horror Nights. That's probably their most
Yeah.
popular thing that's down there, I would say. So that would make sense.
So you look like you recovered from it after after being gone for 7 days,
Yeah, we were actually gone for 9 days because you got to
9
take the
days.
travel into consider. But
I
yeah, we were
know.
down there for 7. Yeah, I'm fine now. I mean,
Is
it was.
Savannah, is she fine too?
Yeah, she's good. Like she's a lot younger than I am, so it's easier for her to do this shit.
Well, speaking of Savannah, I promise I am going to get off here, guys, and I'm going to let Uncle Bill go. But speaking of Savannah, I would love to have her on a stream, but I I think maybe it was Wes that told me she was kind of shy and
She is. I don't know
and
if she would do anything like this or not. My
not
my
even with
instinct.
me. I mean, like,
I can ask her. I
because
mean, they,
I don't. I love being on here with the guys and stuff, but I don't want anybody to think, well, Dana's just wanting to hang out with boys all the time. She's wanting to hang out with guys all the time. No, that's just most of, other than like 71 and Blissful, uh, who Texas is pretty much brought in. Uh, I don't really have any women that get in here and, participate in the chat or want to come on the
well,
streams.
you look at like our demographics for the show and stuff, and it's where it's literally like 0.5% female. Yeah, there's not a lot of it just doesn't exist that much. But yeah, like I'll ask her and see what she
I
says.
mean,
Like I don't
even
know how she would.
like maybe you could be on here too. Maybe that would make her feel more
They'd
comfortable.
probably freak her out even more.
I would
Honestly, it's like yeah,
I
I
just
just
thought you know, it, since you guys have a relationship together, I thought, well, maybe maybe if you were on here with her, she wouldn't feel maybe as nervous or something.
I'd just turn her loose. Honestly, with you,
You
Dana,
turn,
just yeah.
tell her that Dana wants her to come on the stream some night and see what she says. She can even, we're friends on Facebook. If she wants to like message me on Facebook and ask me exactly what it's like to do this kind of stuff. And she doesn't even have to be on camera. If she wants to just be on here on audio and talk, I always tell people you don't have to be on camera. If you don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, that's fine. I don't even have to pay attention to myself on the camera anymore. I just get
Nah, I
on
don't
here and
ever.
blab.
Yeah.
I've been on here so much that it just, I know I don't look good, so I'm not on here to try to like impress anybody. I'm just your regular person, you know.
But I'll ask her and see what she says.
Okay, that'll be cool. So I don't know what Sammy's doing back here, but that probably is a signal for me to get off here. He might like pee in the floor or something like that.
Well, listen, it's been good to be finally on here, and I'll probably see you in about 3 months. The next time you invite me on here.
Okay, you guys heard me. I'm giving Uncle Bill an open invitation once again to come on here anytime he wants. Heck, I've even been putting the invite up in the chat so anybody can click on it. And, as long as you're not an asshole on here, and this goes for anybody, and start being a troll or something like that, then you can come on here. I mean, I don't care at all. I mean, I've had TJ on here, I've had Darren, Dirk. Texas has been on here audio only because he doesn't have a camera. Um, Wes has been on here. He did one of the watchalongs. That was fun.
Really?
He did the Butcher Baker Nightmare.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we had a full house that time. There was like 5 or 6 of us on
Oh, at
here.
one time?
Yeah, and I love that. I said I want to get the whole room full.
Yeah.
I want to fill this with as many people. I think we can have like 10 people on here.
Listen, by the time you get to like 7 or 8 people, though, my computer starts fucking up real bad. So it's like,
If we have
yeah.
Uncle Bill on here, we can't have very many people.
No, about 5 is the most that it'll handle. Make it like a decent stream, yeah.
So anyway, with all that being said, I want to thank Uncle Bill once again for being on the stream with me. I want to thank all you guys in the chat. We had over 10 most of the time, which is good for me.
Hell yeah, Dana.
It's not Deadpit level, but I'm never going to be Deadpit level. So, and you guys can't keep up with like hundreds of people anyway in the chat. So,
No.
So anyway, with all that being said, I guess I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night and let Uncle Bill get some sleep too, and let you guys get some sleep. Darren definitely needs to get some sleep because it's in the wee hours of the morning now.
Yeah.
So I will see everyone on the flip side, and everybody have a good rest of your night. And Darren, you have a good morning, and Uncle Bill, you have a good night, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you, Dana.
Okay, bye-bye.